It's gone 5 minutes after 1 p.m. Central African Time. Good afternoon and welcome to The Upside, your gateway to the good life on Channel Africa, the African perspective with Tebogo, Lekhuleni and Mmatsheko, Mosito. Happy Thursday to you and yours. We are coming to you live from the Auckland Park Studios in Johannesburg, South Africa. And you can catch us live. Join us on our social media platforms at Channel Africa on Facebook and YouTube, and at Channel Africa 1 on TikTok. If you have DSTV, it's channel 802, OpenView channel 628, and as always, you can download that SABC Plus app so you can take us with you wherever you go on your Android or your iOS device. If you'd like to relive some of the conversations we've had, the podcast on our show and other shows as well, go to www.channelafrica.co.za. It's a good afternoon to you, rocking a brand new hairstyle, Mmatsheko Mosito. How are you doing?
We're not talking.
Why are you not talking?
I'm not talking to you.
What do you mean you're not talking to me? What did I do?
Because I thought there was love here.
There is love.
There
is love. What do you mean?
There's absolutely zero.
There is
Yesterday,
a lot of
you
love,
let me do a whole show. And you didn't tell me that I had greens in my teeth.
I didn't see the greens. What are you talking
I
about?
had greens in my teeth.
Where did you see these greens?
I literally noticed after the show when I sat in my car, I was like, Tebogo, I was laughing and smiling in front of him the whole day.
Can someone...
And he didn't tell me I've got spinach in my teeth.
You know what? Here's the thing, all right? No, I didn't see any greenery in your teeth, right? And also, I don't focus like that.
Would you tell me?
Of course, I would tell you. If it was that obvious, I would have told you that there's some situation happening in your teeth. And also, I don't think anyone
I'm self-conscious.
I don't think anyone. Let's do a quick check. No, you're good. You're good.
I'm good.
No, you're
I'm
good.
safe today.
Yesterday, you were also good. I didn't see it. All right. Anyway, what's coming up on the show this afternoon?
Well, today is going to be one of those really amazing Thursdays, as per every single day and every single Thursday. So we're going to be looking at, last names.
Okay.
But not in that context from a week ago when we're talking about husbands taking their women's surnames necessarily. But we really are going to be looking at the history and heritage of African surnames and interrogating that from a culture and heritage perspective, and looking at where they come from. How are our surnames connected to the earth? How are they connected to the places and spaces that surround us?
Absolutely.
Mosito Mthimkhulu is what does that mean?
Brilliant.
What does that mean? So that is the conversation to unpack in the first hour of the show. Very, very important. And because we've all got African last names, this one is going to be of deep resonance for you as our listener. And then still in this hour, we're going to be looking at Men's Council of South Africa. They've come through with a statement. So a major debate has been sparked following the recent constitutional ruling that allows men to take their wives' last names. So we're going to continue with the theme of surnames. And move in that direction, okay? Right. And then in the golden hour of the show, the need for more artisans in South Africa. Africa, we need
topic.
more artisans. So we're gonna look at it, of course, using South Africa as an example, because South Africa is currently facing a serious skills shortage, especially in trades. It is estimated that the economy needs about 30,000 new artisans annually. So
quite a big number there.
That is something to take seriously and to get into dialogue about. So we're going to unpack that. And then in the last hour, clothing, fashion for
the spring and the summer season, right? And I love it. We'll be discussing, tailoring summer clothes for African women and preparing fashion for the new spring season. For a very long time, my spring season, summer season fashion has always been shorts. Like, that's me every day, all day in shorts, and if I can, flip-flops. But you can't obviously do that in the studio. That's a bit unprofessional, isn't it?
What is...
yes, it would be unprofessional.
No, I want you to... What is the equivalent of what is the male equivalent of an earth angel?
I have no idea.
Yeah, that's what you are.
Wow.
You just walk barefoot and you love the
A
trees and the
hippie.
animals.
A hippie.
Yes,
Is that-
an earth
An
hippie.
earth hippie.
Something like that.
It's 10 minutes after 1 p.m. Central African time. Welcome to the Upside.
Midday vibes, great programming, and good company. This is Channel Africa.
Darubini ya Afrika na I am Henry Shakif.
Hifadhi kubwa ya dhahabu, madini adimu na madini ya msingi yameweza kugunduliwa katika wilaya ya Luamo na eneo pana la Karamoja. Hii taarifa ikoje?
Ni kweli ni kwamba uchunguzi ulifanywa kwa muda wa miaka 5 na ugunduzi ni kwamba umeweza kupelekea nchi kupata ufanisi mkubwa hasa katika utajiri wa madini hapa nchini Uganda.
Tumekuwa tuna madini katika bara la Afrika, lakini yamekuwa madini haya hayatunufaishi au kutusaidia kwa namna moja ama nyingine, na tumeendelea kuwa maskini. Unadhani nini kifanyike?
Kubwa katika yote ni kwamba serikali inatakiwa kutoa mkakati mzuri utakaoweza kuwanufaisha kwanza raia wake.
Darubini ya Afrika kila Jumatatu hadi Ijumaa kuanzia saa 11 kamili hadi saa 12 kamili jioni majira ya Afrika ya Kati.
The Upside. On the Upside, your voice matters.
Baby, follow my command, like zombie. Go down on me, oh, with your coca body. Follow my command, like zombie. Go down on me, oh, with your coca body. Cause this your milky for front enough for me. Hold on for me, I no go do me corny. And if you're milky na fighty, I saw me to look. Baby, gonna waka waka when you enter my licha. Baby, gonna will you give me sugar? Wala ala. Macho Mona Lisa, 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 Macho Mona Lisa. Macho Mona Lisa, Macho Mona Lisa.
Mona Lisa, I go sweep you off your feet. What up, so she said make some time for me, time for me. See for this life, me and you tap like hush for me. We walking next there, please show them your best. Baby, hope you know you light to my day. Girl, you know you're all that I need. Give me your love, you can't run away. I can't deny. One bag of man, them one come try. But my love just takes you high. All of them I talk about you and I. Nobody listen to them loud. I get butterflies when I see ya. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. If I'm in love, it's for a reason. Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
Gonna waka waka when you enter my licha. Baby, gonna will you give me sugar? Wala ala. Macho Mona Lisa, 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 Macho Mona Lisa.
It is 15 minutes after 1 p.m. Central African time. Mona Lisa, Low J there featuring SARS and Chris Brown. Beautiful music to kickstart the upside this afternoon, your gateway to the good life on Channel Africa, the African perspective. Thank you so much for joining us on this Thursday edition of the show. How's your day going? Let us know on our WhatsApp line, +2763 406 9126. And remember, you can catch us live on our social media platforms at Channel Africa on Facebook and YouTube, and at Channel Africa 1 on TikTok. It's a Culture and Heritage and Fashion Thursday this afternoon, and we kickstart with an important conversation surrounding surnames, last names, the significance of a surname on the African continent, the history of a last name on the African continent, and we've got a specialist to tell us a bit more about it.
Absolutely. So we are still continuing on themes around heritage in South Africa as we acknowledge September as National Heritage Month. And it's important for us to reflect on the symbols that carry our identity across generations. One of the most powerful of these is the last name. The surname is Bongo in isiZulu and other Nguni languages, or Sefane in Setswana. African surnames are not just names. They are living connections to ancestry, to spirituality, and the stories of where we come from. So we're going to be speaking about this. We're going to be touching base with the spiritual and life advisor, Rabetso Katleho Mugase. It's like a whole sentence. Who will be helping us to unpack the heritage and meaning behind African surnames and why preserving them is so crucial at this time as we look at contemporary African spaces. Thank you very much for joining us, Rabetso Katleho. It is wonderful to have you join us on Channel Africa.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you for having me, and I appreciate that you appreciate my name.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the honor. Let's talk about just your work. Perhaps it's a good place to start in terms of, just you filtering in work of spirituality into coaching and advisory. What exactly does your work entail?
So for me, I've been in the space for quite some time. As a spiritual practitioner, I was called quite young. So been in this space since the age of about 13, 14. And I say spiritual practitioner across the board. So I used to be a church leader, I used to be a pastor, and I'm in the African spirituality space at the moment. So going on about 20 or so years in that space. And I share a funny story for a lot of people that one of the first few people I've gotten to engage with was a couple in their 40s who asked me for marital counseling while I was in my teens. So it gives you a sense of the kind of stuff that I've had to sort of navigate and deal with. And it's been a blessing and a privilege to be able to weave purpose into the work that people are doing across different spaces. Yeah.
It is 18 minutes after 1 p.m. Central African time. We are currently joined by spiritual and life advisor Rabetso Katleho Mugase to help us unpack the significance of heritage, the cultural meanings behind a surname or a last name on the African continent as an African, and why we need to take it seriously. Especially considering the recent ruling, the Constitutional Court ruling that men are allowed to take their wives' surnames. What does that? What is the significance of that? And we unpack what we need to know with Rabetso Katleho. We'll continue the conversation right after this.
Get Channel Africa on DSTV Audio Bouquet. Channel 802.
Je, una jambo lolote akilini mwako? Je, una shauku kuhusu maswala muhimu? Na je, una maoni ambayo unataka yasikike? Kweli, hili jukwaa ni la kwako. Piga simu au tuandikie kwenda WhatsApp namba alama ya kujumulisha 2760552594 na tutakupigia simu.
Mtangazaji wa habari zetu za Afrika Kusini mjini Johannesburg.
Hivyo unaweza kuwa mshirika kwenye matangazo yetu. Sio mazungumzo tu, ni fursa yako ya kuchangia maoni yako na kushiriki na jumuiya ya wasikilizaji wanaotamani mtazamo wako. Tufuate kwenye mitandao ya kijamii. Tembelea tovuti yetu www.channelafrica.co.za na uwe tayari kushiriki na kuchangia maoni yako kwenye Channel Africa. Channel Africa, mtazamo wa Kiafrika.
The Upside, 1 to 4 p.m. Central African Time. With Tebogo Lekhuleni and Mosito. Only on Channel Africa, the African perspective.
It's 20 minutes after 1 p.m. Central African Time. Thank you so much for joining us on The Upside this afternoon, your gateway to the good life. We continue our conversation with Riabetswe Katleho, spiritual and life advisor, to tell us about the significance of a last name. Riabetswe Katleho, let's talk about that. Why is a last name, a surname, so important, especially in the context of an African?
So I think it's important for us to, locate it within the history. And we all know that surnames, as they are now, are colonial impositions.
Yeah.
We perhaps are people of clan, right? We're people that would say, for instance, ke Mogase, but Mogase is a name, right?
Yeah.
And somewhere in my clan names, honale a line that says, Lechasa lechara misabat, bantse baritlo by bone tabang. And we continue with that sort of lineage. But why it's important, and I shared previously on a TikTok of mine, as it were, that these clans weave history and the present and the future together. And I'm of the view that they are particularly important because we've got to add to them. So for me, I've added to my clan praises. So I've added a few lines in there, to particularly speak to where we are right now as a family, and also to speak to where we're going as a family. And I think that generations have got to do that because the clan praise or the lineage is a history of the family. But that history doesn't just stop with particular people. And also, I think one would notice that in a lot of spaces, there are male and female figures that are identified within these clans. If you look at perhaps in the East African and West African context, there's matrilineal societies where those clans speak a lot about women in the space. They are already included in that space. They've already got space to exist, to thrive, to flourish. And then in other spaces where it might be more the masculine side and the patrilineal if you will, lineage and heritage that comes through. So, and I know it might be something that a lot of people might not necessarily think that a conservative or traditional person like me would say, but the ruling, in fact, restores order in some respects, this recent Concord ruling, because at a spiritual level, in some instances, you've got to also take a look at what lineage you are going to deal with. What are the things that you're bringing across in terms of these two lineages coming together? What are you taking from this side? What are you taking from the other side? And I'm a firm believer in the fact that as it relates to marriages, partnerships, it's about purpose. And the best person for the job has got to do the job. If you are not necessarily the best person to lead, your genitalia should not dictate that you must.
That is fascinating, perspective. I didn't think about it in that way. And thank you very much for bringing sort of an African cosmology, angle into this conversation, because surnames are important throughout the African continent, Ramokgase. So let's talk about that and unpack it by looking at the belief around how our surnames carry spiritual weight. A surname can reveal a person's destiny, spiritual path, inherited traits. Because Lina, for example, and they say Okarabo, you just become the person that people go to for answers, for example. Your name just precedes you, as it were. So let's unpack that and the mythological origins, if you would, around us as divine beings and how we carry these names in our being, in our ways, in our behaviors.
And I think that it's important for us to also perhaps recognize that as Africans and people, indigenous people across the world, actually, not just Africans, we ascribe meaning to stuff, right? So we take a look at things and we say, because we are the people of the rock, and this rock is going to be particularly important to us, or we're people of a particular tree, or we like this particular animal.
Right.
Ra honna ba bina tholo because we like this impala,
Yes.
or re tla nna ba kubung because we see these hippos and we're just like, oh my gosh, they really have these traits. So we ascribe that meaning, but there's also meaning that we get from those things, right? So if you look at the Kwe or the San people, the impala is a very sacred animal to them. Even pre-colonial history, I mean, these are animals that would be revered in the same way that the cow would be for the Hindu people. But these things are all located somewhere in history, whether it's oral history, whether it's things that are said, they are spoken somewhere. And so these clan praises tell us a little bit about who we are, who we were. But also, I think we need, like I said, to not necessarily just add to them, but appreciate where we are and where we're going. And so we're able to insert other little bits and pieces that say, okay, maybe we're not necessarily just the people of the tree, but we're the people of this particular being, this particular animal. We do these kinds of stuff. You guys that are there are able to insert lines in your clan praises that speak about the fact that you're mass communicators. You are envoys of your families that speak on a daily basis to millions of people. That's something you're able to say without any kind of dilly-dally or doubt. And can you imagine what happens 3-4 generations from now when there's a kid who is a descendant of yours, there's got to give a speech to 1,000 people, reads their clan praise and realizes, shucks, my great-grandmother, my great-grandfather used to speak to millions on a daily basis. What does that mean for me? It means I can do it. So let me go and do it.
Powerful.
What impact does it have on a person if they are disconnected from the meaning of the history of their surname that they carry?
I think it makes you a tree that literally is hanging in the air. You know, you're still growing because you've got moisture that you're getting, but you're not going to get the nutrients you need. And so you might be tossed to and fro. And, permit me to say, by my perspective, I think that you may be somebody that would want to get this kind of meaning because it's important to you. But as you get it, it might also cause you to ask certain deeper questions, because there are some things that we've got to get rid of, even in our clan praises. We may be people where it's said that we are the stubborn ones. We are the ones that will never move. Whether we've got to take that out. It might be stuff that we're so good about, in that, in terms of the inheritance that we have, we've got to be able to deal with both these generational shortcomings, but also these generational blessings that exist, and how we're going to navigate the two and make sure that these things work in tandem.
All right. On that note of, just the generational gaps and, how things were done before and how they're done now, let's talk about the role of young people and how they are going to be carrying forward the value of last names, especially in today's society. Perhaps we can even use this, this new ruling as an example. And when we look at the world, where the world is going, for example, it's becoming a global village. We're not only now intersecting through different tribes, it's also now with different races as well. So what role do young people play in carrying forward the value of the surnames that they were born with?
I think that all people, in fact, have got a role to play in their families. And young people more especially have got to say, what does it mean to be a Mokgase? What does it mean? What are the things that we are clear? These are the stuff that we subscribe to as the Mokgase family or as a particular family. And anyone who doesn't subscribe to those things, then we've got to question whether they're actually family members. And I say that on purpose because there are some people that may be family because they subscribe to the stuff that you're saying, but they're not blood. And when you get into the spiritual space, to take a little bit of a tangent, and I'll come back, you begin to realize that there are some people within the lineage who are not necessarily there by blood, but they are there because they agree with the purpose of this home. And so I think it's incumbent on young people to be a whole lot more careful, to be a lot more careful about their purpose, to be a lot more careful about the partnerships that we're choosing, and to be a lot more careful about where it is that we want to go. And I think it's also important that we understand that our society, in its original nature, pre-colonization, is actually a society that understands the value of both the divine masculine and feminine. there are functions to both. We are not a patriarchal society. I don't see that in the reading. And why I say this is because we are losing so much as it relates to what is termed culture behind patriarchy. And when we start to see it, we realize that there's a lot more that women did and still continue to do within the home. I mean, if you take the role of a rakhadi within the house, that home cannot do anything if a rakhadi is not present. and that rakhadi is the one that's got to make sure that some of these principles are there. But so I think the older rakhadi has got to sit with the younger rakhadi, and they've got to go and debate what are the things we're going to take forward, what are the things we're not going to take forward, and what does this family look like in 2100. We often say that our country doesn't have a plan at times, and we don't do long-term planning and so forth. But families have got to do that, because that's where royalty comes from. It's families that have decided we want to dominate. And so we've got to take those decisions. We've got to say, what does the Mogase family look like in 2100, in 2150? And what are the decisions we're going to take today to make sure that it gets there?
What a valuable conversation.
Wow.
Katlego, where can we find you on social media?
Geez, it is Riabetri Katleho Mogase. That would be, I think, the name on Instagram as well as TikTok. That's where you can definitely find me. And then on LinkedIn, it's Riabetri Katleho Kwa Mogase. So those are the spaces. But if you search Riabetri Katleho Mogase, you'll find me across these platforms.
Love it.
It's an unfamiliar name, so you'll really find
a beautiful name, but it is a beautiful name. Riabetswe Katleo, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. What a valuable conversation it's been. Go check him out on social media platforms if you'd like to link up and connect with him and get a bit more insights on the history and the value, the significance of a last name. It's 31 minutes after 1 p.m. Central African time. Let's get the latest in sports with Musibudi Makura.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Thank you so much, Tebogo. Very good afternoon from the sports desk. Now, SABC Sport has established that FIFA has officially opened disciplinary proceedings against the South African Football Association as well as Bafana Bafana midfielder Tebogo Mokoena. This after the Mokoena was fielded while he was under suspension in a 2026 World Cup qualifier, which South Africa won 2-0 against Lesotho on the 21st of March this year in Polokwane in South Africa's Limpopo province. Now, the 28 midfielder had accumulated 2 yellow cards earlier in the qualifiers, first against Benin in November 2023 and then against Zimbabwe in June of 2024, which under FIFA rules triggered a one-match ban suspension. So in a letter that the South African Football Association has seen dated the 15th of September 2025 and also seen by the public broadcaster, FIFA confirmed that both the player as well as the association face charges of breaching several disciplinary regulations, including the fielding of an ineligible player. The case has now been referred to the FIFA disciplinary committee, with SAFA as well as Mokoena now given about 6 days to submit their responses. If found guilty, Bafana Bafana could be forced to forfeit the result of the match, which would then hand the 3-0 victory to Lesotho on paper, while other sanctions such as fines or suspensions could also be imposed by FIFA on SAFA as well as the Mokoena. Should a forfeit then be handed down by the FIFA disciplinary committee, Coach Hugo Bruce's charges will then find themselves level on the same points as Benin. That's 14 points after 8 games played, but will remain top of the table because they do have a superior goal difference of about 6 as opposed to the Cheetahs of Benin, who currently have a goal difference of 4. So that's a story, of course, we'll be tracking for quite some time to see exactly what will happen in this regard. Well, South Africa's under-21 netball team completed their World Cup preparations in London, England, where they spent about 4 days before heading to Gibraltar for the upcoming World Under-20 World Cup tournament. Now, Team South Africa coach Precious Mthembu declared the trip worthwhile as they had tested themselves against some of the best players in the world and also was satisfied with their preparations in the build-up to the World Under-20 Youth World Cup, which gets underway towards the end of next month. In some tennis news now, Iga Swiatek blew off the cobwebs from the from the US Open quarterfinal defeat to Amanda Anisimova to ease into the last 8 of the Korea Open on Thursday. Now, the 6-time Grand Slam champion from Poland beat Romania's Sorana Krista 6-3 and 6-2. Will face either Emma Raducanu or Barbora Krejcikova in the next round of this competition in Seoul. Now, Swiatek first sealed the first set in 49 minutes on the 6th set point. The top seed then carried that momentum into the second set, breaking the Romanian immediately, and despite a few wobbles, Swiatek was able to seal the victory and seal that set with not much fuss from her opponent. And finally, the 2025-2026 season of the Total Energies CAF Champions League officially gets underway on Friday with kickoff of the preliminary stages of Africa's premier continental club competition. Now, this season also marks a historic milestone with a record number of 62 clubs registered for the 2025-2026 season, underscoring CAF's ongoing efforts to broaden participation and also enhance the competitiveness of African football. Now, most of the preliminary round first leg fixtures will be contested between the 19th as well as the 21st of September, with the second legs then scheduled between the 26th as well as the 28th of September. Victorious clubs will then progress to the second preliminary round, that is said between the 16th as well as the 19th of October, and then the 24th as well as the 26th of October. Well, that concludes the sports news this hour. For any sports stories you'd like to share with us, our email address is newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11714 4459. I'm back with more sports news in the next hour for Channel Africa Sport. I am Musibudi Makura.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
Parlez-vous couramment le français? Êtes-vous passionné par la radio? Et êtes-vous qualifié pour travailler en Afrique du Sud? Envoyez-nous votre CV et vos 3 minutes démo en MP3 à @channelafrica.co.za pour avoir une chance de rejoindre la famille Channel Africa. Si vous n'avez pas de réponse après 14 jours, cela signifie que vous n'avez pas été retenu. Channel Africa, la perspective africaine.
37 minutes after 1 p.m. Central African Time. Let's get the latest in business news. Buntle Headbush is standing by.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
Thanks, Tebogo. Good afternoon. In our top story at this hour, India's state-run Oil India says it expects a $20 billion Total Energies operated Mozambique liquefied natural gas project, in which it owns a stake, to restart development by the end of this year. Total Energies halted construction of the project and imposed a force majeure in 2021 following a deadly attack on the site by Islamic State-linked insurgents. Oil India chairman Ranjit Roth says he expects the project to restart in the second half of this year because security conditions have improved and the project is well positioned to meet the growing demand of the Indian gas market. Meanwhile, Indian textile manufacturer Gokaldus Exports says it plans to expand its production in Africa and boost shipments to the European Union and the United Kingdom. This as punitive U.S. tariffs threaten to lower the company's profits considerably. Gokaldus produces about 90 million garments annually, with exports to the U.S., Canada, the UK and France accounting for the bulk of its $439 million revenues in 2025. The company says that it's been gradually shifting part of its production to Kenya and Ethiopia, where tariffs are lower. It says it expects its quarterly profit margin to shrink to single digits from around 12% in the first quarter of 2026. The Tourism Business Council of South Africa says more needs to be done in the African air markets to attract African tourists from other countries. The council says effective new technology is needed to fast-track applications of visas for tourists to visit the country without any delay. If this technology is put in place, place by the Department of Home Affairs in the near future, they are anticipating to have more than 15 million tourists by 2030. Chief Executive Officer Chifiwa Chibengwa says this during the 4th Tourism Leadership Conference held in Rustenburg in South Africa's Northwest Province.
We still need to do more in the Africa air markets, although what we're seeing in the Africa air markets is that the growth is big. So a lot of people coming from Kenya to South Africa, a lot of people from Ghana to South Africa. And what's the difference in those two countries? We put in visa waivers, so they no longer require visa to come to South Africa. So we can see that visa waivers work. But we need to have technology that will enable people who have to apply for visas to do so faster and to do so timely and to be able to catch their planes to come to South Africa. And that's what we're hoping that the Minister of Home Affairs will be able to outline what Home Affairs is planning to do.
South Africa's Transnet National Port Authority has been instructed to renew all its leases of existing tenants in the Island View precinct. In a statement, Transport Minister Barbara Creecy says the entity has also been instructed to give fixed access to the Central Energy Fund. Creecy says this is to ensure a balanced transformation and energy security in the country. CEF will be guaranteed access to the existing infrastructure within the port limits. It will also be granted rights to operate liquid bulk terminals, among other things. In another recent decision, Creecy issued a directive to Transnet Ports Authority to renew a 25-year lease for Astron Energy on loading arms for import and export through the Astron Energy operated joint bunkering services at its existing sites and terminals at the Port of Cape Town. Colin Sebi, national spokesperson for the department, explains.
Minister Creecy has indicated that this initiative attempts to achieve two important policy objectives. On the one hand, to ensure transformation of the sector dominated for decades by well-established players. On the other hand, the decision aims to ensure ongoing fuel security by ensuring that third-party access is managed in a well-regulated and incremental manner that ensures consistent usage of the Island View infrastructure.
Further afield, France is preparing for a day of strikes and protests that have been called to put pressure on President Emmanuel Macron and his new Prime Minister Sébastien Lekhuleni to reverse planned budget cuts. Hundreds of thousands of people are expected to take part in the protest action. The BBC's Hugh Schofield reports.
There'll be a fair amount of disruption on public transport as well as at airports, and some schools will shut. Throughout the day, there'll be demonstrations in the big cities. As ever on days like this, trouble can't be ruled out, with members of the so-called Black Bloc ultra-left-wing groups expected to break away from the main cortege to vandalise and attack police. The aim of the movement is to protest against the budget cuts outlined by the last government of François Bayrou, which the new Prime Minister, Sébastien Lekhuleni, has not entirely renounced.
And now taking a look at the indicators, $1 US in Nigeria is trading at 1,490 naira. In Botswana, it's 13 pula 11. Kenya, the dollar is trading at 128 shilling 40. And in Zambia, it's 23 kwacha 40. Moving to the BRICS countries, $1 in Brazil is trading at 5 rial 30. Russia, 83 rubles 44. India, it's 87 rupees 81. China, 7 yuan 10, and South Africa, $1 is trading at 17 rand 36 cents this afternoon. $1 is trading at 73 pence to the British pound and 84 to the euro. Looking at commodities, gold is trading at $3,667 per ounce. Platinum, $1,388 per ounce, while Brent crude oil is at $67.77 a barrel. And those are your business news. For any business news stories you'd like to share with us, please send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za. Call us on +27 11 714 4459 for Channel Africa Business. I am Buntle Hetbush.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective. We are on Open Views Audio Bouquet. Channel 628.
Ukatili wa kijinsia unaharibu maisha na kutenga jamii. Hutokea nyumbani, shuleni, kazini na mara nyingi kwa ukimya. Lakini hauwezi kuendelea. Ukiona, ongea. Ikiwa unaumia, funguka, kwa sababu kutofanya lolote sio chaguo. Sikiliza vituo vyote 19 vya redio kuanzia Jumatano ya tarehe 23 Julai kwenye mijadala, ushauri, tamthilia, maonyesho ya elimu na mahojiano na wataalamu, manusura, watunga sheria na nchi nzima iliyoathirika na ukatili wa kijinsia kwenye vituo vyako pendwa vya redio. Piga simu 0800 428 ili kuripoti unyanyasaji au kupata msaada. GBV, ikomeshwe na wewe. Ujumbe huu umeletwa kwenu na shirika la SABC.
We take no sides, none whatsoever. We are the Upside.
45 minutes after 1 p.m. Central African time. This indeed is The Upside on Channel Africa, the African perspective with Tebogo Lekhuleni and Mmatsheko Mosito. Thank you so much for joining us on this Thursday edition of the show. Catch us live on our social media platforms at Channel Africa on Facebook and YouTube, and at Channel Africa 1 on TikTok. If you have DSTV, it's Channel 802, OpenView, Channel 628, and as always, you can download that SABC Plus app so you can take us with you wherever you go on your Android or your iOS device. We continue our conversation around culture, surnames we spoke about in the first half of the show. And now, after a major debate had sparked following the recent Constitutional Court ruling in South Africa that allows men to take their wives' surnames, while some see this as progressive, others believe it undermines deeply rooted traditions and cultural identity. The Men's Council of South Africa has released a strong statement voicing concern that the ruling not only disrespects men's dignity, but also threatens the preservation of cultural heritage. To tell us more about this call to action and the Council's position, we are joined by its founder and president, Fikile Dyanyi. Mr. Fikile, thank you so much for your time and thank you for joining us on The Upside. Let's start off with you briefly sharing why this ruling has stirred such a strong reaction from the Men's Council.
Good afternoon in your show, and I greet your listeners. As you have already said, this is Fikile Dyanyi, the founder and president of Men's Council of South Africa. Look, our point is very clear. Our core message is that we are not against individuals' rights. We are defending the cultural identity, dignity, and ancestral heritage, which were not considered in the ruling.
Okay, Mr. Dyanyi, this is a very loaded, could use that term. It's a very loaded conversation because it goes beyond culture and into politics. And I think the court ruling makes it even more political because then it unpacks, issues around the politics and power and patriarchy around the decisions that we are making currently. So with that said, do you think resistance to a man taking his wife's surname, for example, is more about cultural tradition, or is it about maintaining certain gender power dynamics within the societies as they are currently structured?
I'm gonna respond in this question in two ways, because you also put politics and the heritage and our culture as men. You can call any scientist, you can call any religious leader, you can call anybody as individuals outside there, more especially that they believe in the traditions. They will tell the very same strong message that we are having as Men's Council of South Africa. But then going out of your question, talking about politics, we are finding ourselves in this situation about having named or called female and male. We know the Constitution as Men's Council of South Africa, how the Constitution have to operate. Now, once they are describing us as gender in terms of male and female, that's where the division started from. They started to categorize us. And I want to emphasize what you've just said in terms of the patriarchal belief. We are defending the tradition, not the patriarchy. The women are at the center of this culture too. So it cannot be correct that we will turn a blind eye or we will find ourselves idling somewhere. We just need to have a stand in this.
It is 11 minutes before 2 p.m. Central African time. We're currently joined on the line by the Men's Council of South Africa founder and president, Mr. Fikile Dyantyie. And we're talking about the recent statement that they've made, airing their concern after the ruling that the Constitutional Court ruling that allows men to take their wife's surname, saying that it raises a concern that it not only disrespects men's dignity but also threatens the preservation of cultural heritage. If you have any questions or if you'd like to add on to this conversation, you're more than welcome to do so on our social media platforms at Channel Africa on Facebook and YouTube and at Channel Africa 1 on TikTok. We continue the conversation right after this.
Broadcasting in 5 different languages, connecting the continent. This is Channel Africa, the African perspective. Africa Update on Channel Africa with Lulu Kabu.
Mozambique's opposition leader Venancio Mondlane has been charged with incitement to terrorism and disobedience. He faces a total of 5 charges. The charges relate to post-election violence that left hundreds of people dead. What punishment is he looking at?
The most severe charges are 2. One is incitement for terrorism and also is being charged for mobilizing people for terrorism during the protests. These charges are really serious and severe. If he is condemned, is found guilty, he could serve 10 years plus years in jail, meaning that he would be banned from political participation, mainly for the 2028 and 2029 electoral cycle.
The director of CDD, the Center for Democracy and Development, Adriano Novunga.
Africa Update with Lulu Kabu, 12 to 1 p.m. Central African Time. The Upside, taking the African perspective to fresh levels.
9 minutes before 2 p.m. Central African Time. Let's continue our conversation with the Men's Council of South African founder and president, Mr. Fikile Dyantyie, about the Constitutional Court ruling that allows men to take their wives' surnames. Mr. Dyantyie, let's talk about the significance from a cultural perspective, the significance of a surname. Why is it so sacred? And having us have this debate after this ruling.
Okay, if you'll go deeper in terms of the surname. This is linked to our lineage, heritage, and the culture. So definitely, if you will shift away from saying when you talk about the surname, you are just talking about the name. That is not true.
Yeah.
Because when I always make this example. I'm Fikile Dyantyie. Dyantyie is the forefather's name. Therefore, we're carrying that heritage. And we're making sure that it's linked to our family.
Yeah.
And you will also find that what is very surprising in this, some of the people, they might think maybe you are against the constitutional law. No, we're not against the constitution. Our message is that we must protect the African identity. That is what we are doing now. And I always send this strong message to the listeners so that they can understand who are we. We cannot just claim the transformation while we are raising the roots of our people. And in above that, Tebogo, the consultative measures, they were not made in whatsoever, all together. Now, the question of the politics again came in. I will make an example. There was this thing called here not too long ago, national dialogue.
Yeah.
National dialogue that just spent the millions of rands, and then they should have spent this money to do this, to consult the communal structures in terms of reaching out, so that they can hear what is it all about, what they feel in terms of making this changing to come up with this ruling.
Okay, so if I'm hearing you correctly, Mr. Dyantyie, you are not questioning a democratic society, and you're not questioning, equality under, as a constitutional right, as it were. So with that, talk to us about the Men's Council. Let's go back to the Men's Council and how you plan to mobilize civil society, and I think also very importantly the traditional leader, the space of the traditional leaders. How are you going to mobilize all of that so that you can, deal with this issue, if I could use those terms?
Let me also reflect in the issue of equality. We must never come at the cost of cultural erasure. We must find inclusive solution, not impose ruling without cultural context. That is our position. And then when it comes to mobilizing, what we are saying here, we are saying hence the parliament as well is given 24 months ample time to work out around this policy. So as Men's Council of South Africa, it is our dire duty to make sure that we voice out so that people can understand what is the challenge that we are facing. Because the position, as I said, is very clear. We were against the activity that has been done, but not against the constitution. Yeah. So that is our position. And like Men's Council of South Africa is to empower. That is his own objective. Want to empower men so that they know what is happening in the country. And the men's advocates obviously is including men and the young boys, so that they can take a thorough leadership in their communities and society, so that they know what is happening in our society and in the country. This is who we are. And now we are talking about this constitutional ruling, of which now is affecting us terribly. And one might come say, why they mind about the question? No, we're definitely protecting the African identity here.
Mr. Dyanki, for those who may argue that traditions evolve over time, is there leeway to adopt new traditions and a new way of looking at certain situations and scenarios where previously a certain faction may have been removed from that conversation? In the evolvement of traditions, is there leeway for that, and that we embrace changes?
Changes to where? Where are those changes going to? Who came with these changes to be made? Because the culture will remain a culture. So if somebody will say, I used to be a technician in my young age. I used to say, there's no need for you to fix it if it's not broken. What is broken in our culture? What is broken in our identity as the African religion? What is broken? Nothing. Now the agenda here, let me just reflect to it. The agenda here is to make sure we divert from being us as African people. The person who have got an agenda somewhere knows from the fact that once I dilute this cultural value and principle, obviously I will achieve the agenda of what I'm here to achieve in the African African content. Yeah.
You speak about in your previous response around empowering men and the work of the council and its duty to empower men. What does empowerment for the masculine look like as you and I speak? Because it definitely looks different to the way it did in the 18th century.
No. Look, now we're living in an age where we need to know that in the old age, I will take a horse and then ride and go and see my family there now. But we are living in a world of networking. We network so that people can keep that fundamental. Therefore, if we unite men and then empower each other, based on the background a culture that we grew up with, understanding. Remember, I'm in the middle ages, so definitely I understand what I'm talking about. I'm not just guessing here. I'm not doing guessing games here. So I know exactly what is our local stance here. And we are the structure in this organization. Whatever that we discuss, we discuss it holistically. We are not having any personal agendas.
Okay, so in your empowerment work and in you workshopping these young men so that they can be empowered in modern day Africa, how do you fit narratives around how they associate with their feminine counterparts, whether it is their wives or their mothers or their sisters in society?
Look. Let me just put it as my family, as a father of the family. I'm a father. I've got kids. I've got a wife. Now, what you need to do, you need to make sure that as a father, what you are saying at home is what you're gonna say to the neighboring person who doesn't have a father. Therefore, by bringing those together, obviously, we will be able to align in terms of leadership, what is manhood, what is our culture. All that is causing part of effort
What
of
is man?
empowering
What
the
is
young boys.
manhood? What is manhood in modern day
Okay.
society?
All right. I will go to technicalities now. You know, when you talk of a man, you cannot find a man, for an example, just misbehave himself. Let's say, I'll just make an example. Let's say in a funeral, the pastor is making his speech there, and then you come with a beer and then you make noise. That is not manhood. A man respect the society. A man respect the family. A man respect the person who is near and far, in terms of carrying that manhood, in terms of the principle.
We have run out of time. I wanted to ask, in families where, women's family where there is no son and they want to continue the legacy and the heritage of their last name, are you saying that they can't or they shouldn't do that? It's not advised to do that, to maintain their surname in the context of a situation like that?
Before there was no man, that there was a man. So obviously they carrying that legacy of that the elder man that who is no longer there.
Now they get married. What do they do?
So when they get married, for an example, now if a woman get married and then it goes to other family, and then obviously what is gonna happen? They get endorsed in that family, because remember, this thing have got something to do with our culture. You must always bear in mind of that. When I'm getting married, a woman from other family, and then there is a certain a ritual that must be done in order to combine these two families in terms of spirituality, in terms of spirituality, and in terms of understanding what is our values in these two families.
Thank you so much for your time this afternoon. The voice of the president and the founder of the Men's Council of South Africa, Mr. Fikile Dyanki. Let's get the latest news. It's 2 p.m. Central African Time with Onelin Sinzi.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
Thank you, Tebogo. Looking at your top stories, the Malawi Electoral Commission to address the nation this afternoon. And U.S. President describes honor a second state visit to Britain. Your latest news. Greetings to our listeners. The Malawi Electoral Commission will address the nation this afternoon. This says unofficial results have so far shown that the former President Peter Mutharika is still leading in the vote counting. Malawians went to the polls on Tuesday to elect a new president, 229 members of the National Assembly and 509 local government councillors. According to the Commission, 7.2 million voters were enrolled after the 3 registration phases, with women constituting 57% of the elected. Reports from Malawi.
The commission will announce who has won. That's by 24 September. But as it stands now, Peter Mutharika of the Democratic Progressive Party, DPP, is leading. And shortly in the next 2 hours or so, the Electoral Commission will be updating the nation as to what it has gathered, more especially with the votes being counted at a constituency level or at a regional level, and then to the main tally center, so that they match with the physical counting and then the electronic kind of countings.
Police in Togo have arrested the former Defense Minister Marguerite Gnakade. Reports say she is accused of plotting against the state. The former minister is due to appear in court in the coming days. Gnakade is a sister-in-law of President Farouk Gnassingbe. She was married to his late brother and is the first woman to be defense minister. Judicial watchdog Judges Matter in South Africa says KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi has already provided some evidence of criminal syndicates' infiltration of the country's criminal justice system. The second day of the Commission's public hearings started with Mkhwanazi resuming his testimony. President Cyril Ramaphosa announced the establishment of the commission in July. It is investigating Mkhwanazi's allegations of political interference and corruption in law enforcement. Mkhwanazi began testifying yesterday. The watchdog research and advocacy officer, Mbegezeli Benjamin.
What is quite clear from his evidence so far is that there is a level of infiltration that has been done by very powerful people who are connected to, it seems, politicians. And he's already made it quite clear that this put investigators and investigations in jeopardy and in danger. And so I think that is something that the Madlanga Commission is likely to put forward in its interim reports, that there needs to be serious action to protect those investigations, and there should be an attempt to try and protect investigators as they're doing their job.
South Africa's Minister of Defence and Military Veterans, Mmatsheko, has defended the chief of the South African National Defence Force, General Ruzani Mapwanya, in relation to the political utterances that he allegedly made during his trip to Iran. The minister says there is no evidence before her that Mapwanya flouted the Defence Act. Mmatsheko was part of the Peace Cluster ministers answering oral questions in the National Assembly. Abongile explains.
Contravened the provisions of the above act, as the member has quoted, and the opinion pieces that was made in the member's private capacity by another member. Even if it was said in France, it would not have created problems. It created problems because it was in Iran at the wrong time when they were, because of this geopolitical conflicts.
That is rather South Africa's Minister of Defence and Military Veterans, Mmatsheko herself. US President Donald Trump has described his second state visit to Britain as one of the highest honours of his life. He was speaking at a lavish banquet in Windsor Castle, where he was hosted by King Charles. Trump is expected to meet with the British Prime Minister Keir Starmer at his countryside residence later today. The BBC's Georgia Roberts.
The two leaders will view the Sir Winston Churchill archives held at the residence, playing to the president's great admiration for the wartime leader. Then it'll truly be down to business, with a bilateral meeting and a business reception both on the agenda. The Chancellor, Rachel Reeves, will host the reception. There'll also be a news conference rounding up the day's events. After the careful choreography that's dominated most of Mr. Trump's unprecedented second state visit so far, this is the moment that's most at risk of going off script.
Recapping on your top stories, the Malawi Electoral Commission will address the nation this afternoon. This as unofficial results have so far shown that the former President Peter Mutharika is still leading in vote counting. Channel Africa News, I'm Onele Nsinsi.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
Minutes into 2 p.m. in Central African Time. Welcome to The Upside. If you've just started listening, a pleasure to have you join us. My name is Mosito, alongside my co-pilot for this Airbus. His name is Tebogo Lekhuleni. Yes, sir. Okay, so he's the bass guitar in this situation. Welcome to the show if you've just started listening. Otherwise, listen, if you have opinion, anything you'd like to opine on around last names and and the impact of the names that we are given. Perhaps you were named for every bloodline in your ancestry and would like to comment around that, you're welcome to do so on our social media platforms. If you happen to catch this broadcast live as it happens, you're welcome to comment on our TikTok. We're also live on Facebook, where you can watch the show, as well as YouTube. So I saw something very quickly before we talk about what's coming up in this segment. I really wanted to comment on this. Somebody on Twitter was asking, what does the name Phumzile mean? Phumzile is a name in one of the South African Nguni languages. And somebody responded and said, the name Phumzile in isiXhosa comes from the verb phumla, which means to rest. So the name means the one who has rested. It is often given with the meaning of peace, rest, or relief after hardship. I hope that makes sense. I thought that was just such a pure and beautiful and concentrated response. I like that response. And I like the name Phumzile even more now that I know the context, the deep context. So names, African names, carry so much. Somebody gave you that name, okay? So you got to carry it. You literally have to carry it with pride and with dignity. Beautiful name, Phumzile.
Here's what's coming up in this hour of The Upside. We talk about the need for artisans in South Africa. There's about 30,000 jobs on offer, a shortage of about 30,000 per year annually of artisans. And I just think because it is not an attractive job, it's not an attractive trade, let's leave it there. That's my conclusion. The reason why we don't pursue hands-on work, tradesman work, is because it doesn't look attractive. You don't want to be an electrician, you don't want to be a plumber, you don't want to be a welder. Is it all because it doesn't appeal to us? We'd rather doctor, accountant, a suit job. But these are jobs and trades that we need in our society. You need a plumber, you need a welder, you need these spaces, but we are not filling them up. And for me personally, I'm a big fan of artisan trades jobs, and I think that we need to champion them a bit more on the African continent, as opposed to just these AI jobs. Hands-on work, AI job or an AI can't really replace us that soon. They're trying to, but not that soon. And I think we need to market, spearhead, champion, and ensure that we get more artisans out of South Africa. High unemployment rate, 30,000 a year. That would reduce that high unemployment rate.
Absolutely. I think that's very critical what you're saying in terms of, where we are with unemployment and the young people on the African continent. And of course, we're using South Africa as an example as we look at the statistics that tell us that 30,000 new artisans every year are without work, for example. So we're going to unpack that, and I think it's very critical to look at artisanship, where the gaps lie, how we can fill them. Is it enough to just speak about making the jobs look attractive? But I think also another layer to this conversation is around the shift in human consciousness. People are moving more and more away from what things look like, what their relationships look like, what their jobs look like, and more about how they make them feel. Are you fulfilled in your suit and tie? Or would you rather, be doing pottery and fixing things? Maybe that's your thing, That's how your brain is wired, to fix, to, connect wires and all sorts of things, and be interested in that sort of space. Perhaps that's actually why you are unfulfilled in your suit and tie. Maybe you need to be an artisan.
You need to work with your hands.
We're going to talk about that. It's going to be a really beautiful conversation as we unpack that. Any comments, most welcome on our social media pages.
Tune in and turn up the volume. This is Channel Africa.
África. Conhece o Ntivani?
Claro que sou eu.
O Ntivani é o amante da música de corpo e alma.
Eu amo música africana.
Ele aprecia todos os tipos de melodias e passa os seus dias a ouvir a Channel Africa. Okay. Adivinha só, a Channel Africa quer ajudar o Ntivani e os amantes da música em todo o lado a descobrir ainda mais música incrível. Por isso, a Channel Africa está a convocar artistas africanos a submeterem as suas músicas. Músicos, lembrem-se de nos dar todas as informações relevantes no music@channelafrica.co.za. As submissões são a vossa oportunidade de ser ouvidos, mas não garantem inclusão na lista. Todas as submissões serão cuidadosamente analisadas para verificar se cumprem os requisitos da nossa estação. Canal África, a perspectiva africana.
Your afternoons just got even better. fresh and exciting. The Upside, hooking you up with today's news from an African perspective.
Par la suite, je faisais plein de mauvais rêves où elle me disait que c'était fini entre nous, ça me donnait des raisons valables. Mais tu sais c'est quoi le pire? C'est que ces rêves étaient devenus réalité. Après tant d'années, quand je l'ai revu, mon cœur a fait boum boum. Je me suis posé un tas de questions qui m'ont mené à la conclusion que dans le fond je ne l'ai jamais oublié. Mes sentiments, j'aimerais bien les bafouer, mais y a des choses que je suis obligé d'avouer. Comme le fait que tu ne seras jamais à moi. Aujourd'hui tu es là mais demain tu seras dans un avion. Tu dis que tu m'aimes mais tu t'endors dans les bras d'un autre. Ainsi va la vie. Dis-moi à quel moment je devrais croire que t'es pas comme les autres. Baby tell me. Je te pose des questions dont j'ai les réponses, et je veux voir si tu vas me mytho. Et tu n'as fait que me mentir. Pendant que les soirs tu dors dans sa maison, moi je suis dans une bataille entre le cœur et la raison. Pendant que les soirs tu dors dans sa maison, moi je suis dans une bataille entre le cœur et la raison. Et j'entends mon cœur crier oh. Est-ce que ça c'est le destin? Et j'entends la raison qui me dit laisse tomber, car c'est déjà la femme d'elle. J'entends la raison qui me dit laisse tomber, car c'est déjà la femme d'un autre.
Entre nous c'était si spécial, et ça frôlait l'illégal. On était pour mais c'était pas assez pour nous. Il était déjà dans les bagages. J'ai dû faire un choix entre mon cœur et ma raison. Je vois bien que tu m'en veux, mais je suis déjà dans sa maison. Bébé, dis-moi que tu m'aimes. Avec lui ce n'est pas la même. J'ai troqué notre amour pour une traîne. On est passé de l'amour à la haine. Je te vois partout, partout. T'étais mon tout. Mon bébé, redis-moi que tu m'aimes. Dans tes yeux je vois tellement de haine. Pendant que les soirs je dors dans sa maison, je suis dans une bataille entre le cœur et la raison.
Pendant que les soirs tu dors dans sa maison, moi je suis dans une bataille entre le cœur et la raison. Et j'entends mon cœur crier oh. Est-ce que ça c'est le destin? Et j'entends la raison qui me dit laisse tomber, car c'est déjà la femme d'elle. J'entends la raison qui me dit laisse tomber, car c'est déjà la femme d'elle. Baby Joker, baby Joker, là je suis touché oh. Je ne peux pas zouker, baby Joker, oh. Là je suis piqué, je ne peux pas zouker.
Cure in Raison coming to you with Making featuring Emma. This is wonderful music exported from Gabon all over the African
Gabon?
region. Gabon. All over the African region and the world.
Is that really how they say it? Or
Yes.
just, Gabon?
Gabon.
Mm.
You want to Google?
I will believe
You want to
you.
test?
We'll believe you. South Africa is facing a serious skills shortage, especially in the trades. It's estimated that the economy needs about 30,000 new artisans every year. Those are plumbers, electricians, mechanics, builders, but we consistently produce far fewer than that. At the same time, many young people leave mainstream schooling without clear opportunities, facing unemployment and uncertainty. Education leader Kevin Burrett believes that there's a solution: youth-focused trade schools that provide both practical training and structured apprenticeship. Kevin is the head of campus at New Gen Trade Schools, and he joins us to explain how this model can close the artisan gap, reduce youth unemployment, and reshape perceptions around the trades. Kevin, thank you so much for your time. Welcome to The Upside. Let's start off with a simple question. Why are trades jobs so unappealing to a lot of people? And I know it sounds a bit dodgy what I'm saying, but these are the realities we are seeing on the ground. I would rather be a doctor or a lawyer than be a welder. Why are they so unappealing to the majority?
Right, guys, thank you for having me, first of all. I think it's got a bit of something to do with the past, where if you attended a trade school, you were kind of viewed as being a little bit not so clever or stupid, like blue-collar type worker. I think these days it's definitely changed. It is now a life choice. It's a clever life choice. It's not something that's frowned upon. In fact, I hear sort of every day that people who are professionals in other fields say, oh gosh, I wish I had become an electrician or a plumber or a tradesperson.
Yeah.
So it's far more accepted these days. I think some of the older folk, perhaps the ones that roamed as dinosaurs like myself, I think they maybe still have a little bit of perception that it's, it's not really for the clever kids or whatever, but no, definitely not so.
Yes, I think I agree with much of what you said, Mr. Kevin there. But I wanted you to just underscore and elaborate on the philosophy around new gen trade schools. You know, how do you, because you specialize in this work and the courses and all of that. So talk to us about how you structure, I mean, not necessarily the courses, but just the philosophy around learning artisanal work and how it's going to shape not only society in the spaces of work, but also for career fulfillment. What do you tell your students around that?
Well, first of all, this initiative started because we realize and we understand that a lot of the kids in mainstream schools struggle. They're not academically geared, if I can use that term. They really struggle, and it's very unlikely that they're going to achieve a matric pass. But the schools, keep on pushing and pushing and pushing until they perhaps eventually drop out, and then they go to homeschool or cottage school or whatever it is. So what we're doing is we're giving them an alternative path, a short track to a very good career. So they can come to us from the age of 15 or grade 9, and we put them through our program, which is 3 months on campus. It's intense theory and practical, but mostly practical. And then we put them out into an apprenticeship. So we place them with our partners for 33 months, and then they qualify, they do the trade test, and they qualify with an NQF4 Red Seal, which is internationally recognized. So if you come to us at the age of 15, by the age of 18 or 19, you are qualified and you're earning a very good salary. And you are, I'm not going to say you're guaranteed of a job, but you are as close to being guaranteed of having work or having a job, especially overseas.
We're currently in conversation with the head of campus at New Gen Trade Schools, Mr. Kevin Buret, and we're just unpacking the need for artisans in South Africa. 30,000 artisans are needed on a yearly basis, and we are producing far less or far fewer than that. We continue the conversation right after this.
No matter where you are, Channel Africa is always with you. Mornings made better with Peter and Asanda on Rise and Shine, weekdays 6 till 9.
Malawians go to the polls next week in a high-stakes general election where citizens will choose a new president and 229 members of parliament. And this comes 5 years after the country's 2019 election was annulled by the Constitutional Court due to widespread irregularities in a landmark decision that overturned the victory of the then President Peter Mutharika.
I'm not saying we're a perfect government. No, nobody is. I mean, we've seen even South Africa facing challenges with the fuel that's going up and with whatever challenges. But you know what? When you are dealing with an IMF policy that says do not employ so many people because you are going to become a welfare government and all of that. And Dr. Chakwera said I've got high numbers of unemployment. As a government that is answerable to Malawians, we have found IMF policies wanting on many issues. We believe the people who pay us taxes to put us in our positions, we owe them employment at the minimum.
That's Dr. Jesse Kwabila, who's the Minister of Higher Education in Malawi.
Mornings made better with Peter and Asanda on Rise and Shine. They talk about what Africans say about Africa.
30,000 artisan jobs are needed on a yearly basis in South Africa, and yet we produce far fewer than that. We're currently in conversation with the head of campus at New Gen Trade Schools, Kevin Burrett, who are trying to close that gap as best as they can. Kevin, what do you tell parents, and how do you encourage parents, teachers, and even the communities to see trade schools as a viable option for young people, so that they don't get forced into spaces that they don't belong?
I think it's becoming more clear to parents. So when we started this initiative a year and a half ago, we had quite a lot of resistance from mainstream schools because I think they felt that we were coming to steal the students away from them, which is their bread and butter. But as we engage more and more with career guidance counselors and principals, and parents, they realize that it's obviously in the best interest of the kid. It's not about the money or filling a spot and trying to force somebody to stay to matric. And the parents very much so come and say, well, look, this is the future. My kid's not going to do well at varsity, or probably not even get into varsity. And this is an absolute great career choice for them.
Let's interrogate how you are working with local businesses and industry to create apprenticeship opportunities for students.
So we're constantly looking for partners to join our program. We've got some really good big corporate partners and smaller ones. What happens is the students would sit with us for 3 months, and then they get placed into these apprenticeships at no cost to the company. So there's zero cost to them. There's zero management admin to do. We do all of that. We monitor the guys online every single day, what they're doing, the type of work, etc. But what happens is that the companies, after about 3 to 6 months, they start seeing real value that the students are bringing to them. And then they voluntarily offer them a stipend of sorts, which can range from 4,000 to 6,000, 7,000 rand. But they're not compelled to pay that. And in saying that, it's all voluntarily. We have probably 98% of the companies pay the students.
I love the work that you're doing, Kevin. How can we enroll? How can the young people enroll at a New Gen Trade School, and where are you based? Where are your campuses?
Okay. So we only have one campus at the moment, which is in Sunningdale, Table View side. We're down Sandown Road in the Cornerstone University building. Our website is newgentradeschools.co.za, and you can email us at info.newgentradeschools.co.za. Sorry, info@newgentradeschools. We don't have specific open days, but every day is an open day for us. So parents, kids are welcome to come through here any day, 8 till 3. We'll take them on a private tour. We'll chat to them about it, and that we look forward to meeting them.
Okay, sounds like a well-oiled machine. Thank you very much, Kevin. Perhaps before I let you go, maybe just your final thought in closing, in conclusion, around looking ahead. What would you like to see change, perhaps even at a national policy level, so that we can find ourselves in a place where we can better support trade schools like yours and to close the South African artisanal skills gap that we're seeing?
So I would like to see government support institutions like ourselves. There are not many of us. So the TVET colleges are government funded, and they do what they call a learnership, which is very much theory-based, and a little bit of practical, which don't align. I would like government to give scholarships and bursaries to schools like us where it's an on-the-job learning experience, a portfolio of evidence. There's no entry criteria. So if you go to a lot of these TVETs, you've got to have grade 10 maths and science, where, you can come at the age of 15. We don't grade you by your marks in subjects.
Okay. Kevin, thank you so much for your time this afternoon, and all the best with the trade schools.
Thank you very much.
The voice of Kevin Barrett, the head of campus at New Gen Trade Schools. I love what they're doing. No, personally,
Very
I love
important.
We and also, just to clarify, it's not just for those kids who you can see they're not going to make it to matric or they're not getting good grades. There are those who actively want to pursue trade jobs from a very young age, and they're also encouraged to go there. And I just love the fact that it's a practical application of the theory, making you competent, and that's what companies are looking for. There are too many people with degrees sitting at home. It's 30 minutes after 2 p.m. Central African time. Let's get the latest sports with Musibudi Makura.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Thank you so much, Tebogo. While Faith Kipyegon as well as Beatrice Chibet have all won world titles in the 1,500 as well as the 10,000 meter events in Tokyo this week, and will face off in the 5,000 meter final for a chance of a championship double. Now, the Kenyan pair safely negotiated their 5,000 meter heats at the National Stadium, with the final now scheduled for Saturday. It will be Kipyegon as well as Chibet's first clash since last year's Paris Olympic Games. Chibet, the double Olympic champion, became the first woman to cover 5,000 meters within 14 minutes with her world record of 13 minutes 58.06 seconds at the Eugene Diamond League meet in July. Now, the 2022 silver medalist as well as a bronze medal winner, a year after that, Chibet will also be keen to complete her set of World Championships medals when she takes on her compatriot, that is Kipyegon, her idol as well as defending champion of this 5,000 meter event. Kipyegon hasn't raced in the 5,000 meters since the Paris Olympic Games, where she took the silver medal behind Chibet. In football news now, SABC Sport has established that FIFA has officially opened disciplinary proceedings against the South African Football Association as well as the Bafana midfielder Tebogo Mokoena. This after Mokoena was fielded while under suspension in a 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifier, which South Africa went on to win by 2-0 against Lesotho on the 21st of March in Polokwane in South Africa's Limpopo province. Now, the 28-year-old midfielder has accumulated 2 yellow cards early in the qualifiers, first against Benin in November of 2023 and then against Zimbabwe in June of 2024, which under FIFA rules triggered a one-match suspension. So in a letter to SAFA dated the 15th of September 2025 seen by the public broadcaster, FIFA confirmed that both the player as well as the association face charges of breaching several disciplinary regulations, including the fielding of an ineligible player. The case has been referred now to the FIFA Disciplinary Committee, with SAFA and Mokoena now given about 6 days to submit their response. If found guilty, Bafana could be forced to forfeit the result of the match, which would then hand Lesotho a 3-0 victory on paper, while other sanctions such as fines or suspensions could then be imposed. Now, should a forfeit be handed down by the FIFA DC, Coach Hugo Bruce's charges will find themselves level on the same points as Benin on 14 points after 8 matches played, but will remain top of the table because they have a superior goal difference. On to netball news now. South Africa's under-21 netball team completed their World Cup preparations in London, England, where they spent about 4 days before heading to Gibraltar for the upcoming World Under-20 World Cup tournament. Now, the team coach Precious Mthembu declared the trip worthwhile as they tested themselves against England's under-21 team.
They tested us against their style, so we were able to work on different combinations. Of course, in that level of the competition leading to the World Cup, you don't always want to play all your cards out, especially against the team that's competing in the same competition as us. Otherwise, we become too predictable. So I think from my side, on a coaching perspective, I just needed to be a little bit more smart. It wasn't really about the end results of the score. It was about the combinations we put on under pressure with the style of England.
Now, the former Proteas centre shared her expectations from Pool D, where South Africa will also face the likes of Fiji, Trinidad and Tobago, as well as fellow African side, Malawi.
We played against Malawi and the qualifiers. Hopefully, it's we've seen some of the familiar names that we played against last year. So our hope was obviously get here and play against Zambia when they get here, so we can at least experience and have a taste of that African style. But I believe they struggled to get their visas here in Gibraltar. So that was obviously one of our downfall in terms of preparations. But we there's always a plan for that.
All right, so that concludes your sports news this hour. For any sports stories you'd like to share with us, send us an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za, or remember to call us on +27 11714 4459. It's 14:35 p.m. Central African Time. I'm back with a final sports update on the upside in the next hour. For Channel Africa Sport, I am Mosito Makura.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective. This Heritage Month, we honor the beauty of our differences and the strength of our cultures. Listen to Channel Africa on satellite channel PAS10. Get the news, music, and lifestyle of Africa on Channel Africa, the African perspective.
2:36, let's cross to the business desk. Bontle Headbush is standing by with the latest.
Business news on Channel Africa, the African perspective.
Thanks, Mmatsheko, and a very good afternoon to our listeners. In our top story at this hour, India's state-run Oil India says it expects a $20 billion Total Energies-operated Mozambique liquefied natural gas project in which it owns a stake to restart development by the end of this year. Total Energies halted construction of the project and imposed force majeure in 2021 following a deadly attack on the site by Islamic State-linked insurgents. Oil India Chairman Ranjit Rath says that he expects the project to restart in the second half of this year because security conditions have improved and the project is well positioned to meet the growing demand of the Indian gas market. Meanwhile, Indian textile manufacturer Gokaldus Exports says that it plans to expand its production in Africa and boost shipments to the European Union and the United Kingdom. This as the punitive US tariffs threaten to lower the company's profits considerably. Gokaldus produces about 90 million garments annually, with exports to the US, Canada, the UK and France accounting for the bulk of its $439 million revenues in 2025. The company says it's been gradually shifting part of its production to Kenya and Ethiopia, where tariffs are lower. It says it expects its core quarterly profit margin to shrink to single digits from around 12% in the first quarter of 2026. The Tourism Business Council of South Africa says more needs to be done in the African air markets to attract African tourists from other countries. The council says effective new technology is needed to fast-track applications of visas for tourists to visit the country without any delay. If this technology is put in place by the Department of Home Affairs in the near future, they are anticipating to have more than 15 million tourists by 2030. Chief Executive Officer Chifiwa Chibengwa said this during the 4th Tourism Leadership Conference held in Rustenburg in the Northwest Province.
We still need to do more in the Africa air markets, although what we're seeing in the Africa air markets is that the growth is big. So a lot of people coming from Kenya to South Africa, a lot of people from Ghana to South Africa. And what's the difference in those two countries? We put in visa waivers, so they no longer require visa to come to South Africa. So we can see that visa waivers work. But we need to have technology that will enable people who have to apply for visas to do so faster and to do so timely and to be able to catch their planes to come to South Africa. And that's what we're hoping that the Minister of Home Affairs will be able to outline what Home Affairs is planning to do.
South Africa's Transnet National Port Authority has been instructed to renew all its leases of existing tenants in the Island View precinct. In a statement, Transport Minister Barbara Creecy says the entity has also been instructed to give fixed access to the Central Energy Fund. Creecy says this is to ensure a balanced transformation and energy security in the country. CEF will be guaranteed access to the existing infrastructure within the port limits. It will also be granted rights to operate liquid bulk terminals, among other things. In another recent decision, Creecy issued a directive to Transnet Ports Authority to renew a 25-year lease for Astron Energy on loading arms for import and export through the Astron Energy-operated joint bunkering services at its existing sites and terminals at the Port of Cape Town. Colin Sibi, national spokesperson for the department, explains.
Minister Creecy has indicated that this initiative attempts to achieve two important policy objectives. On the one hand, to ensure transformation of the sector, dominated for decades by well-established players. On the other hand, the decision aims to ensure ongoing fuel security by ensuring that third-party access is managed in a well-regulated and incremental manner that ensures consistent usage of the Island View infrastructure.
Now moving to France, where more than 80 people have been arrested as thousands across France are protesting over the government's austerity plans. Disruption has been reported on public transport. The BBC's Paul Moss reports.
The French don't tend to do things by half when it comes to strikes and protest. And Thursday's day of action has already seen transport services suspended and roads blocked. Even electricity supplies have been affected, with a nuclear power station forced to cut back when staff walked out. The workers are angry, a trade union statement said. What they're angry at is the French government's plan for a budget which will cut public spending in order to reduce the national debt. One union leader warned that the budget would be decided on the streets.
And now taking a look at the indicators, one US dollar in Nigeria is trading at 1,490 naira. In Botswana, it's 13 pula 11. Kenya, the dollar is trading at 128 shilling 40, and in Zambia, it's 23 kwacha 40. The BRICS countries, $1 in Brazil is trading at 5 rial 30. Russia, 83 rubles 44. In India, it's 87 rupees 81. China, 7 yuan 10. And South Africa, $1 is trading at 17 rand 36 cents. $1 is trading at 73 pence to the British pound and 84 to the euro. Looking at commodities, gold is trading at $3,667 per ounce. Platinum at $1,388 per ounce, while Brent crude oil is at $67.77 a barrel. And those are your business news at this hour. I'll be back with the final business news in the next hour. For any business news stories you'd like to share with us, please send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11 714 4459 for Channel Africa Business. I am Buntle Hetbush.
Business News on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
Você é fluente em português? É apaixonado por rádio e quer trabalhar na África do Sul? Você tem documentos que o qualificam para trabalhar na África do Sul? Nesse caso, podemos ter uma oportunidade para você trabalhar no Canal África. Envie seu currículo e demonstração para Canal África at newsroom@channelafrica.co.za. Lembre-se, se você não receber alguma resposta nossa em 14 dias, isso significa que você não foi selecionado. Canal África, a perspectiva africana.
Whatever you want to hear about today's talk, you can only get it on the upside. Every weekday, 2 to 5 p.m. Central African Time.
Ninawaza uliumbwa juu yangu, ndo maana nakuangaikia, hata kidogo nachopata ni cha kwako. Baby usinivunje moyo, chakula kishuki, nisipokona mabebila, kwako nalana kiapo. Baby wangu taishi nawe, oga litoto, sifulizi kimoko, taongeza ujuzi nitakuchora. Tena kwa ukali wako, umeliteka ili jimbo, penzi umelitia fora. Yani pale ukinibusu, vile unajishuku, ndo nazidi kuwakera, ndo nazidi kuwakera. Wakipunguza machungu, roho zao za majungu, ndo nazidi kuwakera, ndo nazidi kuwakera. Baby, would you marry me? Would you marry me? Honey, would you marry me? Would you marry me? Baby, would you marry me? Would you marry me? Honey, would you marry me? Would you marry me? Alafu baby wezi juu, tamu watunda bila kulimenya. Mie tayari shazidio, ongeza utamu tena koleza. Marao, yo miguno, sijiwezi mi. Furaibo, na mikosino, sijiwezi. Yani pale ukinibusu, vile unajishuku, ndo nazidi kuwakera, ndo nazidi kuwakera. Wakipunguza machungu, roho zao za majungu, ndo nazidi kuwakera, ndo nazidi kuwakera. Baby, would you marry me? Would you marry me? Honey, would you marry me? Would you marry me? Baby, would you marry me? Would you marry me? Honey, would you marry me? Would you marry me?
46 minutes after 2 p.m. Central African Time. B Classic Kenya coming through with Marry Me. Oh, it's also wedding season, isn't it? In Southern Africa.
Actually,
yes,
it is. It is.
It's wedding season between now and the end of the year.
We're getting fabric.
Getting fabric. Getting married. Starting forever after. All right, this is The Upside on Channel Africa, your gateway. Oh, we are your gateway to the good life. That's The Upside on Channel Africa, the African perspective. Join us on our social media platforms. That's where you can see our lovely studio, interact with us live at Channel Africa on Facebook and YouTube, and at Channel Africa 1 on TikTok. It's time now for What Caught Your Eye. I don't think it's a surprise. I don't think it's a surprise at all that my What Caught Your Eye will be about the Commission of Inquiry, the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry that's currently underway in South Africa, right? Now, this inquiry or this commission is investigating and looking into criminality, political interference, and corruption in the criminal justice system. They've asked the commissioner, the provincial commissioner of KwaZulu-Natal, General Mkwanazi, to come and tell us what is happening. Because he made an explosive briefing in July, talking about political interference in high-ranking cases, political killings, and so on and so forth. I'll unpack it as we continue with what caught your eye. One of the first things that we saw yesterday, things that people noticed during day one of the commission, was the fact that General Mkwanazi was like, I don't want your water. He came with his own water. Those are the first things people noticed. There was water there on the table, right, ready for him. But he's like, no, I'm going to drink my own water. And then some random person tried to shake his hand. Like, hey, come, shake my hand, No, I don't do shake hand. Fist bump, right? And I'm realizing that even in a space like that, he doesn't feel safe. And possibly he is not safe. Because he's quite a high-ranking person, and he's made such explosive remarks on what is happening at the highest level, politically, within the structure of the policing structure, and he doesn't even feel safe in that space. I'm going to unpack some of the conversations that he had yesterday, and the commission continues today. But the most important question we want to ask is, are we going to see anything come out of this commission? Are those who are being implicated going to be held accountable, and will justice prevail? Or are we seeing yet another commission where we're going to be waiting years and years and years for more investigations and nothing gets done? I'll unpack why I feel that we might not see what we are hoping for, and I'll explain why right after this.
Call us on +27 63 406 9126 and contribute to the conversation.
Madapiri bazoshitika. Madapiri bazoshitika.
Boma la dziko la South Sudan alengeza kuti wachiwiri kwa mtsogoleri wa dziko lo Riek Machar akuyenera kuyankha mlandu ofuna kulanda dziko wakupha komanso okonza ziwawa. Ndipo mtolankhani wathu nkummawa kwa Africa Fraser Oneni akuwunikirapo.
Muchikalata chomwe chinalengezedwa ndi nduna yoona zamalamulo komanso chilungamo ya dziko la South Sudan, chikalatachi chinalengeza kuti wachiwiri kwa president wa dzikolo Riek Machar apezeka ndi milandu yokupha, yofuna kuwukira boma komanso kulanda dziko ndi kuyambitsa ziwawa. Riek Machar akhala akusungidwa mokakamizidwa ku nyumba kwawo kuyambira mwezi wa Marichi chaka chino. Mwezi wa Marichiwu, asilikali omwe mbuyomu anali mgulu lomwe limagwira ntchito limodzi ndi Machar anamenyana ndi asilikali a boma a South Sudan Defense Forces SPDF mu chigawo cha White Nile dziko.
Zochitika pa nthawi ya 6 koloko kufikira 7 koloko madzulo. Lolemba mpaka lachisanu ndi Madapiri.
Let the upside transport you from Cape to Cairo every weekday from 2 to 5 p.m. Central African Time.
All right, 9 minutes before 3 p.m. Central African Time. Let's continue with what caught your eye. All right, and it's caught everyone's eye in South Africa. The Madlanga Commission. Day one was yesterday. Today is day two. We've been getting testimonies from the KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner, Nhlanhla Mkwanazi. And one of the key takeaways from yesterday's day one of the commission was him, not in so many words, saying that the justice system in South Africa is at risk of total collapse. He's warned that the criminal justice system is under severe threat. Sabotage, political interference, and corruption, right? He's questioned the disbandment of the Political Killings Task Team, the PKTT, which is said that under Minister of Police Senzo Mchunu, the Political Killings Task Team in KZN was disbanded And Mkwanazi had said that this decision was made without a proper briefing. At some point, he mentioned that a friend of his sent him what looked like an official letter signed by the police minister of the disbandment of this task team. And he's like, it didn't go through any proper consultation, any formal procedures. And then he goes on to question the authority and the process, right? Over 121 case documents have been removed, then returned as part of his earlier claims from July 2025 this year. Mkwanazi had said that 121 dockets were taken from the PKTT, and he says that it was perhaps to shield these suspects. Now, he's questioning who influenced these decisions, right? He alleged that external influences beyond the police, people advising or influencing the minister, played a role in the decision to disband. And he also emphasized that as provincial commissioner, he felt constrained and that attempts to get clarity or engagement from national leadership via the deputies, the chief of staff, etc., were unsuccessful. He also mentioned that he has tried, by all means, to let the highest powers be know what is happening, the challenges that they are experiencing within the police force. At some point, he made a request to be part of the parliamentary committee to express himself and say, listen, this is what I am experiencing. I'm trying to get answers. I've taken it to the highest level. I am not getting feedback. I am knocking and no one is opening the door for me. He said this in a parliamentary committee. My surprise and sort of my disappointment is how loud a lot of these ministers who possibly have sat in that parliamentary committee before it was public are now making a noise saying, General Mkwanazi, yes, we stand with you. We agree. There must be investigation. Why was that not raised when he raised it internally in a private setting? He's now brought it to public. Now everyone wants to make a huge hullabaloo. All right, now let's make a commission of inquiry. Let's investigate. Where were they when you brought it in? Because it's like you bring a sensitive issue and it's a family matter. Like, okay, right, let's bring it to the family. Let's talk about it. All right, I don't like this. This is happening. This is happening. And then no one responds. Like, okay, nothing changes. And then you take it to the whole world. You bring it to the whole community and say, this is what's happening in my family. Now all of a sudden the family members are like, you are right. Yeah, we must do something about it. That's exactly what...
I don't mean to laugh, but it's just, it's preposterous, isn't it?
But then I'm asking, are we going to see any results from this commission? Because if they did nothing about it when he brought it to them in a safe environment, an internal environment, what is different now? What haven't they heard about what he's presenting to them in the commission that they haven't heard in a parliamentary committee? What's going to be different?
Well, I think we just need to use history as a judge for that for that response.
That not much happens.
Have we seen any wonderful, valuable results from any commission of inquiry in the past that is worth raving about? So perhaps that's even a deeper side to interrogate around the role of commissions of inquiry, because a lot of money goes into those inquiries, and then what is the benefit of that? What is the outcomes of that? Who benefits from those inquiries at the end of the day? So history has all the answers for us.
Yeah. Let us know what you think. If we're going to have any favorable results, is justice going to be served through this inquiry, through this commission? Let us know on our social media platform at Channel Africa 1 on TikTok. What caught your eye?
Well, on a lighter note, Tebogo. Tebogo, who is he's a renowned South African fashion designer, really has done tremendous things for women's fashion, and he has been a creative influence for over a decade. Well, in recent news, it looks like he has expanded his territory into hospitality. He's entered the hospitality sector with the upcoming launch of the Tebogo Suite, as it's known, and the second Makuku House in Cape Town's historic Mount Nelson Hotel as well. So this marks his first foray into interior design, and it aligns with so many other concepts that speak to the work and the progression of African creativity. But what I really love most about him getting into hospitality and starting the suite and opening a second store and all of those good things is how he recognizes and realizes and knows that art doesn't exist in isolation, and that you can't be artistic all by yourself, that it's actually ensemble work, if I could use that term. So he will feature custom furniture and rotating art curated from other local talents, such as Zanele Moholi, who is just renowned internationally as just a wonderful artist and photographer, Zizi Poposwa, as well as Lulama Wolf, very, very popular and incredibly talented. Trevor Steerman is mentioned in there as well. So big ups to Makuku and the entire team, Tema Makuku and the entire team. And I think for me, this expansion into hospitality also represents that intersection between art and culture, and that it's also not separate from tourism. So
that's quite a big deal.
An inclusive hand clap
hello,
for Tebe Makuku and the whole team and everyone that's involved.
Shine,
really shine.
What a big deal. This is a first for the on the Belmont's website, or not website, a social media platform. That's,
yes, they're involved.
Mount Nelson Hotel. It's a first for Belmont, and this collaboration marks 10 years of Makuku's celebrated brand, right, also, and continues the Nelly's journey as a cultural force in Cape Town. Tebe Makuku Suite at Mount Nelson, reimagined two-person retreat tucked along Palm Avenue. That's a big deal. I mean, I'm just reading the headlines. That's a big deal. Shout out
it's
to
really
Teb.
amazing.
And he's such a young, he's a young man, but he's been at this for quite some time.
He's young and he's focused and he's creative and he's talking to the right people and he's branding us. He makes me proud, because he just has solidified us as Africa is luxury. That's what I think when I think about the Tebe Makuku brand. It just says Africa is luxury. That's what it says. It's 3 p.m. in Central African time. Maybe news is luxury too. Wanelin is standing by with the latest.
No fairy tales, just the facts and the music you love on Channel Africa. SABC News. The African Perspective.
Well, thank you, Mmatsheko. Looking at your top stories, South Africa's president hosts his DRC counterpart and lawsuit filed against an Air India jet. Your latest news. Greetings to our listeners. South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa is hosting the DRC President Felix Tshisekedi for a working visit at Mahlamba Ndlovu, the president's official residence in Pretoria. The two leaders will have an opportunity to engage in a variety of issues of mutual interest with the hope of enhancing a strategic relationship and fostering closer cooperation between the two countries. Bonolo Maribe reports.
President Felix Tshisekedi's trip to South Africa comes amid ongoing efforts by Qatar and the US to find peace in the DRC. The DRC Army and the M23 group are reinforcing military positions and blaming each other for flouting peace accords in an escalation that experts say risks reigniting the simmering conflict. Both countries are members of SADC and aim to cooperate on regional issues, including economic integration and security. South Africa, in support of SADC, the African Union and UN, plays a constructive role in promoting peace and stability in the DRC.
The Malawi Electoral Commission will address the nation this afternoon. This says unofficial results have so far shown that the former President Peter Mutharika is still leading in the vote counting. Malawians went to the polls on Tuesday to elect a new president 229 members of the National Assembly and 509 local government councillors. According to the Commission, 7.2 million voters were enrolled after the 3 registration phases, with women constituting 57% of the electorate. George Mango reports.
The Commission will announce who has won. That's by 24 September. But as it stands now, Peter Mutharika of the Democratic Progressive Party, DPP, is leading. And shortly in the next 2 hours or so, the Electoral Commission will be updating the nation as to what it has gathered, more especially with the votes being counted at a constituency level or at a regional level, and then to the main tally center, so that they match with the physical counting and then the electronic kind of countings.
Judicial watchdog Judges Matter in South Africa says the KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi has already provided some evidence of criminal syndicates' infiltration of the country's criminal justice. The second day of the Commission's Republic hearing started with Mkhwanazi resuming his testimony. President Cyril Ramaphosa announced the establishment of the Commission in July. It is investigating Mkhwanazi's allegations of political interference and corruption in law enforcement. Mkhwanazi began testifying yesterday. The watchdog research and advocacy officer, Mbegezeli Benjamin.
What is quite clear from his evidence so far is that there is a level of infiltration that has been done by very powerful people who are connected to, it seems, politicians. And he's already made it quite clear that this put investigators and investigations in jeopardy and in danger. And so I think that is something that the Madlanga Commission is likely to put forward in its interim reports, that there needs to be serious action to protect those investigations, and there should be an attempt to try and protect investigators as they're doing their job.
South Africa's Minister of Defence and Military Veterans, Mmatsheko, has defended the Chief of the South African National Defence Force, General Rudzani Mapwanya, in relation to the political utterances that he allegedly made to Iran. The minister says there is no evidence before her that Mapwanya flouted the Defence Act. Mmatsheko was part of the Peace Cluster ministers answering oral questions in the National Assembly.
Contravened the provisions of the above act, as the member has quoted, and the opinion pieces that was made in the member's private capacity by another member. Even if it was said in France, it would not have created problems. It created problems because it was in Iran at the wrong time when they were, because of this geopolitical conflicts.
And lastly, the families of 4 passengers who died on Air India jet that crashed in June have filed a lawsuit in the US against plane maker Boeing and aircraft parts maker Honeywell, accusing the companies of negligence. Lawsuit filed on Tuesday and seen by the BBC stated faulty fuel switches caused by the crash and accused the companies of doing nothing, despite being aware of the risk of the aircraft's design. Air India Flight 171 bound for London in a Boeing 787 crashed shortly after takeoff from Ahmedabad, killing 260 people. Fuel switches have become a focus for investigators after a preliminary inquiry found that fuel to the engines was cut off moments after the plane left the ground. Recapping on your top stories, South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa is hosting the DRC President Felix Tshisekedi for a working visit at the President's official residence in Pretoria. Channel Africa News, I am Onele Mtsinzi.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
7 minutes into 3 p.m. in Central African time. For 2 seconds there, I had to find my English so that I can have something to say. But thank you very much for joining us. A pleasure to have you join us.
You did not just say that.
I did. Sometimes you got to find the English, It's hidden somewhere. But here we are on the upside until 4 p.m. in Central African time. Tebogo, Lekhuleni and Mosito with you as we talk all things African fashion.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm laughing. I literally am laughing because you are trying to find something intelligent to say. I'm trying to find my English. You're trying to find something intelligent to say about women's fashion. You're like, this is Tebogo. Okay, I'm going to expose you in public.
Fine.
What are the trends now? What are they called? Summer dresses? Is that what they called?
I said sundresses.
It's summer dresses, isn't it?
I said sundress.
You said summer dress.
I said
Summer dress. Yeah, that's what it is. Okay, great. Summer dress. Let's talk about summer dresses. So yes, we're going to talk about summer dresses, and we're going to look at just the broad trends around that. What does that look like? How do we identify what is fashionable? And also, these days, comfort is essential to looking good. They go together.
Absolutely.
They're like the nail and the finger. They go together. So we're going to explore all those wonderful themes with the founder of Tebogo Designs, Tebogo.
Listen, we're also going to talk about preparing fashion for the new spring season. I want to, people go to corporate jobs, 9 to 5, right? What can they wear in summer? Because it also gets hot in the office, right?
Totally. What's appropriate?
Yeah, and you can't go there wearing shorts, right? So what kind of material should we be thinking about? So not just fashion in the streets, but fashion in the office as well.
Yeah, the practicality of fashion.
Thank you very much. That's what we're going to be talking about.
I like that angle, yes.
In this hour. It's 10 minutes after 3 p.m. Central African time. Welcome to the final hour of The Upside.
Got something to say? Are you passionate about issues that matter? Do you have a voice that deserves to be heard? Well, we've got the perfect platform for you. Call in or drop us a WhatsApp on +27 63 406 9126. And we will call you back so you could have your say and be part of the conversation.
30 years of age. I just turned 30 on the 15th of November. So that's who I am,
It's not just talk. It's your chance to air your views. Share your opinion. Engage with the community that values your perspective. Follow us on our social media. Visit our website at www.channelafrica.co.za and get ready to share your views on Channel Africa, the African perspective.
Zilipendwa na Abedi Jean de la Croix.
Wewe ni mjasiriamali unajihusisha na biashara ya kuuza dawa. Jaribu kutuambia kwanza, kwa nini ulianzisha biashara hiyo?
Tutasema kwamba maisha ya kila siku ni kwamba mtu anapashwa kuwa na maisha ya kuweza kujitegemea. Usitegemee kuajiriwa, lakini utegemee kujiajiri, na baadaye utaweza ukaajiri wengine. Na hiyo ilinipa msukumo mkubwa kwa kuweza kujiajiri na kampuni hii kwa ajili ya kuweza kuwasaidia wale ambao wanahangaika zaidi.
Unauza aina gani ya dawa?
Unasema ni dawa, lakini kwetu sisi tunaita kama vile ni pipi, ambayo ni virutubisho ambavyo vinakwenda kusaidia kwa wale ambao wanatatizwa na aina tofauti ya magonjwa.
Virutubisho hivyo sasa vinatibu magonjwa gani?
Virutubisho hivi vinatunza magonjwa kama vile ya kisukari, shinikizo la damu.
Zilipendwa kila Jumamosi kuanzia saa 12 kamili majira ya Afrika ya Kati hadi saa 1 kamili majira ya Afrika ya Kati.
If it's news and current affairs, leading opinions, and thought leaders that get your groove, this is your home, The Upside.
Thought you all about me. Plenty missed calls, you forgot about me. I took a risk to follow my dreams. When I'm in the mini one, I'm feeling like Bean. I swear, you can have a baby by me. I've been trapping since 2014. You don't have to choose sides, play for my team. You don't want to tell me kilo twella codeine, that's why. Hell feel a down, go twar. Kilo problematic, I'm the young Dwayne card. Started off in the trap, now we in the cars. Hell lit, difficult, take it all fast. I'm a twag, I'm just gonna keep it one hand. And richer than me, when I want more hand. We can turn him to a leg though, if you want. Before you pop the crystal, Tomaga Savan. Kahobala 5 bob, Tamaga di ham. Manorega fenti, unana girihan. Tulega oregisa, hena montan. Right there, skull fake, on my circular. I swear, you can never baby by me. I've been trapping since 2014. You don't have to choose sides, play for my team. You don't want to tell me kilo dollar codeine.
Only you got something special there. It's just you and me together and forever, yeah. Unyana wanga fisha, sifatla khosanga khosanga tawisha, yeah. Only you got something special, yeah. And if you down, yeah, just call me down, yeah. It don't matter to me, I'll be right there. Say, if you down, yeah, just call me down, yeah. It don't matter to me, I'll be right there, yeah.
I keep an angel around me. I can yagi POP gets hard up on beat. I got real love for you, I see speed. Wow, but I'm a masala got no speed, I swear. What you heard about me? When I call you out the line, Twaga got need. I was really selling dope, Zanga got sniff. If a damn residue, Pumula Mamin, damn, you could be the mother of my kids. I remember closing eyes first time we kiss. You know where I'm from, you can blink and get killed. One false move, God, it can get real. Mutwag, heaven lunch, chiga sonta. I'm sorry I couldn't be with you, Naguelonyak. Toxic, petene, cause you take a mark. Reciprocate, it's a regalo for taskis. I know everything is all about me. All about leaning, all about weed. Hurts when you tell me, Kilo, what about me? James St. Pass, you forgot about me. I swear, you can never baby by me. I've been trapping since 2014. You don't have to choose sides, play for my team. You don't want to tell me Kilo Dwella codeine.
Only you got something special there. It's just you and me together and forever, yeah. Unyana wanga fisha, sifatla khosanga khosanga tawisha, yeah. Only you got
15 minutes after 3 p.m. Central African time. We've got 25K there featuring Marcus Harvey with Something Special. We've got something special lined up for you because we are talking all things fashion in this hour and designing for African women this spring summer season. All right, so clearly summer dress is not a thing. So I've been told.
Summer dress.
Summer dress is not a thing. Apparently. But let's speak to a designer who knows a thing or two about fashion and how to dress in this warmer temperature in South and Southern Africa.
Absolutely. Okay, the warmer days are here again. That is a fact. And fashion is definitely not left behind. We're looking at trends, but also just identifying, how your personal statement can fit into comfortability as well, which is so important. So for African women in particular, finding summer clothes and summer dresses that celebrate, your unique shape and who you are, your style identity and all of that can become quite a challenge. So because it's such a challenge, we decided we're going to bring in a wonderful voice in the space of fashion, somebody who has been tailoring in the space and who also embraces African women's physiques, the beautiful feminine physique. Her name is Tebogo. She is the founder of Tebogo Designs, and their summer pieces are making waves for their perfect balance of fit, culture, and fashion. A pleasure to have you join us, Tebogo. Welcome to the show. Are you in voting in the summer dress as an essential for the spring of 2025?
Hi, how are you?
We're good. How are you?
I'm good. Yeah, I will say that, summer flow dresses, colorful, soft fabrics that will make a woman feel comfortable and
Right.
also, yes, I think, yeah, those, I agree. I'm with you on that one.
You see, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very let's talk about what inspired you to start Tebogo Designs and specifically to focus on African women's body shapes. That's an interesting one.
Okay. Okay, let me take you away back, ne? But I'm gonna be short. I was inspired by my mom, honestly, when I was a kid, ne? My mom used to tailor herself clothes when she goes to work, and she would look nice with beautiful clothes. Back then, we were not calling them fashion designers. We were calling them bomama barukan, But I was really, really inspired by beauty and the strength that she had. But for me now, I'm inspired by the beauty, strength, and diversity of African women. Too often, mainstream fashion overlooks our unique features. I mean, looking at the curves and our stories. So I wanted to create designs that not only fit the African woman body, but also celebrate the identity. And then the culture, and then the confidence. And then actually, my work is a love letter to women, if I may say that. It's to remind them that they are seen, they are valued, and worthy of the elegance. When you wear something that you love and you feel good, you are very, very confident. So that's actually my love letter to women, to say, hey, value yourself. Then yeah, that's what I'm inspired. That's how I. Yes.
I love that you're inspired by your mama Tebogo. Okay, let's do this. Let's take a quick break because I really want to understand what informs your design style. Because we've got so many beautiful, amazing, talented feminine designers. Bopalesa Mukubung, who have a certain identity, the Christy Browns of this world, coming through. Others specialize in haute couture. We're going to talk about what really underscores your design style and what you would like to represent in the space of fashion. We'll do so when we return.
Gender-based violence is destroying lives and tearing communities apart. It happens in homes, in schools, at workplaces, and too often in silence. But it doesn't have to continue. If you see it, speak out. If you are hurting, reach out. Because doing nothing is not an option. Listen to all 19 SABC radio stations from Wednesday 23rd of July for hard talk, discussions, advice, dramas, educational shows, and interviews around GPV with experts, survivors, lawmakers, and the whole country affected by gender-based violence. For all your favorite SABC radio stations, call 0800 428 428 to report abuse or get help. GPV, it ends with you. This message is brought to you by the SABC. The Upside with Lekhuleni and Mosito, bringing Africa's voices to the world. On Channel Africa, the African perspective.
21 minutes past 3 p.m. in Central African time. We are talking all things fashion, okay? And we're doing so looking at it through the lens of Tebogo Mafa. She is the founder of Tebogo Designs. They specialize in the feminine form, dressing that beautifully, regardless of occasion, okay? Tebogo has been inspired by many women who have told stories through fashion, like her own mama, and just the women that have been seamstresses in the community and how they've talking about the story of how they've inspired her fashion work. Tebogo, let's talk about what sort of how you identify your own fashion style, because there are so many amazing women like yourselves that do fashion, but they classify themselves, perhaps if I could use an example, like I made an example, Kapalesa Mukubu, hers would be modern African elegance. Others have a strong focus on cultural storytelling through their designs. Others, it's more about bold, vibrant aesthetics. So why would I come to Tebogo Designs to design for me as opposed to somebody else?
Okay. When I design, I always think about the different body types, shapes, and sizes of African women. And then from fuller hips to taller frames, when women we have different body types. I use cuts that flatter calves, fabrics that offer comfort and flexibility, and silhouette that highlights natural beauty. I also pay attention to feedback from women who wear my designs. Their feedback guides normally guides me in making clothes that truly feels like it was made for them. When we're in something, okay, someone will say to you, "Yo, this design it was really made on your body for you." Yeah. That's why normally often you can hear someone commenting on some of my designs say, does that come with the body? Because I normally check the body type and then yes, yeah. So that is why people say, does this come with a body type? Like so I check yourself, I check your body. Are you suitable for the certain design? And then I'll advise you accordingly. Yeah, that's how I design.
Well, it's spring now, summer. Some will say we never really have spring in South Africa, in Southern Africa. We have two seasons, either spring or it's in winter. It's winter, right? It's summer or in winter. We are in spring now, and it's hot in South Africa. What are the trends? What do we need to be wearing? What are the requests that you've been receiving outside of wedding season? But what are the requests that you've been receiving from women to dress them during these warmer months?
Normally people prefer different things, but this summer I'm leaning in a light, breathable fabrics that moves well in the heat, like cotton blends, chiffons, and then for color, I'm inspired by the vibrancy of African landscape, warm oranges, those earthly browns, deep ocean blues, burst of bold colors like pink. So, Mina, I'm a lover of bright colors. So, in terms of silhouettes, I'm favoring flowy dresses, playful, like, those two pieces that are comfortable, fit, allow a woman to transition effortlessly from day to evening. So, yeah, so this summer I'm looking for those kind of fabrics, flowy, comfortable in your skin as well, breathable, yeah, that's what I'm looking at this summer.
I like
spring.
that. I could literally
Yes.
imagine the colors as you're talking to them. They're just moving through my mind's eye as
Yes,
you open
yes.
up Tebogo. Let's talk about, sometimes as women we really frustrate our designers. We frustrate our designers. I come to you, Tebogo, with a picture from Pinterest. I'm like, I want this dress. And the dress, as you've
Yes,
said, doesn't
well-
come with the body, you see. So let's talk about that, sort of custom designing for someone and the challenges that come with that, and how you as Tebogo and Tebco Design then advise someone to say, look, the dress doesn't come with a body, but we can make it this way for you. How do you advise your clients so that they walk away not only happy, but actually really representing their femininity in the best way when they walk out?
No, this is simple. When you advise someone to, especially when looking at the bodies, we have different bodies. I will advise you, like, especially when looking at your skin tone.
Yeah.
Sometimes you'll say you'll find that you have a client that is I don't know how to call, or is it dark skinned, and then at the same time you want that dark green. How will that look at you? So I'll just advise you to take something that is what do we call this? Something that is natural, maybe something like but cultural is person. My goal is to match both. Sometimes someone will come to you, will say, no, I don't want African print material. I want something that is very global, but culture is personal. My goal is to match both. We have different things. Yeah, that's how I can advise them.
Are there colors we need to stay away from during the summer season? Are there materials that we need to stay away from during the summer season that will be unflattering to us, but also it will just clash with the season that we find ourselves in?
Not really, but for this summer, I will say go for that natural colors, like bright colors, oranges, red, yellow. And then if you don't like those bright colors, you can go for those natural ocean blues, the warm browns, fawns. Yeah, that's what I can say for this summer.
Okay. Okay, Tebogo, I'm looking for some inspiration, the bright colors that you mentioned, the beautiful warm oranges, the bright pinks, because you speak about the bursts of color. I saw some of those on your Instagram page. Can you please direct us as to where we can find you if we're looking for some design inspiration, and perhaps to even book a slot with you where you can look at the body and design for me personally?
Okay, to find Tebogo Design on Facebook, we are Tebogo Designs, and then Instagram, Tebogo_designs. And or you can email us tebogo2@gmail.com, or you can call or WhatsApp number 079 65 666 85. That's where you can contact us.
Okay, awesome. Where are you based if I want to do a one-on-one consultation?
Okay, I'm based at Samrent. So Samrent, Cosmos Da. But remember, Tebogo Designs, like everywhere, it doesn't matter where we come from. We courier, we do anything.
Amazing.
From weddings, metric dance, individuals, corporate, you can name them. Yeah. So we do according our client specification.
We love that, and we love the work that you're doing, Tebogo. Thank you so much for your time this afternoon. All the best with Tebogo Designs. We can't wait to see your designs, not just on the streets, but on the runways as well. I don't know. Are we going to see a runway at some point of your fashion?
Yes, hopefully. That's where I'm going. Yes,
I love that. Yes. All the best with that. The voice.
That's why I study both trends, whether it's minimalized tailoring, bold sleeves, yeah. So I mesh both. Whether global, cultural. So I mesh both to suit personal identity.
I love that. Well, all the best with that. The voice of Tebogo Mafa, founder of Tebogo Designs, designing for the African woman. I love it, especially this summer. I didn't want to, because she doesn't design for men. I was like, do those colors also work for us as guys?
No, but let me tell you what the benefit. Let me tell you what the benefit is for men. Is that you get to walk around with a beautiful lady by your arm. So there's always benefit for the masculine, but even though she designs for the lady.
Yeah, but what about us?
I mean, you find your own designer. But the benefit for you is that you have a beautiful woman that you get to walk with that's well dressed.
It is 30 minutes after 3 p.m. Central African time. Let's get the latest in sports with Musibudi Makura.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Thank you so much, Tebogo. So the 2025-2026 season of the Total Energies CAF Champions League officially gets underway tomorrow with the kickoff of the preliminary stages of Africa's premier continental club competition. So the season also marks a historic milestone for a record number of 62 clubs that have been registered for the 2025-2026 season, underscoring CAF's ongoing efforts to broaden participation and also enhance the competitiveness of African football. So most of the preliminary first leg matches will be contested between the 19th as well as the 21st of September, with the second leg matches scheduled for the 26th until the 28th of September. Now, clubs that win those two legs will then progress to the second round preliminary stages that are set between the 17th as well as the 19th of October. That's the first legs, and then the 24th to the 26th of October for the second leg matches. Faith Kepyegon as well as Beatrice Chibet have won world titles in the 1,500 as well as the 10,000 meter finals in Tokyo this week, and will face off in the 5,000 meter final for a chance for a championship double. Now, the Kenyan pair safely negotiated the 5,000 meter heats at the National Stadium, with the final now scheduled for Saturday. It will be Kepyegon as well as Chibet's first clash since last year's Paris Olympic Games. Chibet, the double Olympic champion, Champion became the first woman to cover 5,000 meters within 14 minutes with her world record of 13 minutes, 58.06 seconds at the Eugene Diamond League meet in July. Now, the 2022 silver medalist, as well as a bronze medal winner, a year after that, Chibet will be now keen to complete her set of World Championship medals when she takes on Faith Kepyegon, her idol and the defending champion. Now, Kepyegon hasn't raced the 5,000 meter final since Paris last year, where she took silver behind Chibet. Well, in a significant boost for women's rugby development in the country, SA Rugby has confirmed a brand new competition for women, with Betway being the title sponsor, while the Under-20 Women's Tournament will see more participating teams than ever before, coverage on Johannesburg next month. So both tournaments will take place in the week of the 5th to the 10th of October in the Gauteng province, the Betway Women's Club Championship and Alberton Rugby Club, as well as the Under-20 Women's Tournament at Queen's High School. The inaugural Betway Women's Club competition is the first of its kind in South Africa and will see 16 clubs play each other in 3 match days, with the event aimed at elevating the domestic women's rugby further and also developing the game nationally at grassroots level. While South Africa's under-21 netball team completed their World Cup preparations in London, England, where they spent 4 days before heading to Gibraltar for the upcoming under-21 World Cup. The team coach Precious Mthembu declared the trip to London worthwhile as they tested themselves against England's under-21 side.
They tested us against their style, so we were able to work on different combinations. Of course, in that labor of the competition leading to the World Cup, you don't always want to play all your cards out, especially against the team that's competing in the same competition as us. Otherwise, we become too predictable. So I think from my side, on a coaching perspective, I just needed to be a little bit more smart. It wasn't really about the end results of the score. It was about the combinations we put on under pressure with the style of England.
Now, the former Proteas player also shared her expectations from Pool D, where South Africa will face the likes of Fiji, Trinidad and Tobago, as well as fellow African side Malawi.
We played against Malawi and the qualifiers. Hopefully, we've seen some of the familiar names that we played against last year. So our hope was obviously get here against Zambia when they get here, so we can at least experience and have a taste of that African style. But I believe they struggled to get their visas here in Gibraltar, so that was obviously one of our downfall in terms of preparations. But we there's always a plan for that, so.
Right, so that concludes your sports news this afternoon. On the upside, for any sports stories you'd like to share with us, remember to send us an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on our newsroom line +27 11714 4459. It's 15:35 p.m. Central African time. Back with the final sports update for the afternoon in the next hour. For Channel Africa Sport, I am Mosito Makura.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective. This September, Channel Africa celebrates Heritage Month, a time to honor the stories, the rhythms, and the languages that make us who we are. Whether you're in Lagos or the shores of Zanzibar, to the mountains of Lesotho or the markets of Dakar, we are united in diversity.
Najivunia kuwa Mwafrika.
Kukondolera Afrika ndiye wake.
Proudly African and fabulous.
Let us preserve our languages. Let's embrace our uniqueness. Let's embrace our cultures and celebrate the beauty of our continent. Channel Africa, the African perspective. This is The Upside for the best African vibes, groundbreaking content.
36 minutes after 3 p.m. Central African time. Let's get the final business update this afternoon on The Upside. Buntle Headbush is standing by.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
Thanks, Tebogo, and a very good afternoon to our listeners. And our top story at this hour, India's state-run Oil India says it expects a $20 billion Total Energies operated Mozambique liquefied natural gas project, in which it owns a stake, to restart development by the end of this year. Total Energies halted construction of the project and imposed force majeure in 2021 following a deadly attack on the site by Islamic State-linked insurgents. Oil India chairman Ranjit Rath says that he expects the project to restart in the second half of this year because security conditions have improved and the project is well positioned to meet growing demand of the Indian gas market. The Tourism Business Council of South Africa says more needs to be done in the African air markets to attract African tourists from other countries. The council says effective new technology is needed to fast-track applications of visas for tourists to visit the country without any delay. If this technology is put in place by the Department of Home Affairs in the near future, they are anticipating to have more than 15 million tourists by 2030. Chief Executive Officer Chifiwe Chibengwa says this during the 4th Tourism Leadership Conference held in Rustenburg in South Africa's Northwest Province.
We still need to do more in the Africa air markets, although what we're seeing in the Africa air markets is that the growth is big. So a lot of people coming from Kenya to South Africa, a lot of people from Ghana to South Africa. And what's the difference in those two countries? We put in visa waivers, so they no longer require visa to come to South Africa. So we can see that visa waivers work. But we need to have technology that will enable people who have to apply for visas to do so faster and to do so timely and to be able to catch their planes to come to South Africa. And that's what we're hoping that the Minister of Home Affairs will be able to outline what Home Affairs is planning to do.
South Africa's Minister of Agriculture, John Steenhuisen, says a U.S. tariff increase on South Africa's exports and other countries will not form part of the discussion of the G20 Agricultural Working Group and Ministerial meeting. The meeting was speaking to the media. The minister, was speaking to the media on the sidelines of the G20 gathering in Cape Town. He says the United States of America has already made up its mind about the issue of the tariffs and that it is beyond any country's control.
I don't think that this is going to be a matter that's discussed here in specificity, but I do think that tariffs have been identified as one of the barriers towards greater food security. And obviously, as you know, South Africa is currently has a negotiating team in Washington, meeting with the US trade representative. I believe that South Africa has put on the table a very broad, generous offer, and that if these things were being decided on trade perspectives and through a trade lens only, I think it's a fair deal. But I think, as we've seen, there have been other issues that are now entering the fray when it comes to tariffs, the punitive tariffs placed on India.
Confidence among local businesses in South Africa has shown a decline in August. According to the South African Chamber of Commerce and Industry Trade Conditions Survey, only 40% of respondents had a positive overall trade experience compared to the 49% the month before. SACI measures the overall trade experience and outlook of businesses in the country. SACI economist Richard Downing says global trade uncertainty is already showing its face through recent announcements from local and global businesses scaling down their operations in the country. Looking ahead, the survey found that the trade outlook for the next 6 months deteriorated over all the elements of trade.
International trade climate that is not very conducive to positive results as such, especially trade with the US, that should be resolved urgently. And then, of course, the economy is not firing on all cylinders, and the growth rate of about 0.7% at this stage is not conducive and positive in terms of for trade conditions. Although consumers actually at a better time in terms of seeing lower interest rates and financing costs, but that might be only for the short term.
Further afield, more than 80 people have been arrested as thousands across France are protesting over the government's austerity plans. Disruption has been reported on public transport. The BBC's Paul Moss reports.
The French don't tend to do things by half when it comes to strikes and protest, and Thursday's day of action has already seen transport services suspended and roads blocked. Even electricity supplies have been affected, with a nuclear power station forced to cut back when staff walked out. The workers are angry, a trade union statement said. What they're angry at is the French government's plan for a budget which will cut public spending in order to reduce the national debt. One union leader warned that the budget would be decided on the streets.
Now taking a look at the indicators, one US dollar in Nigeria is trading at 1,490 naira. In Botswana, it's 13 pula 11 Kenya. The dollar is trading at 128 shilling 40, and in Zambia, it's 23 kwacha 40. The BRICS countries, $1 in Brazil is trading at 5 rial 30. Russia, 83 rubles 44. In India, it's 87 rupees 81. China, 7 yuan 10, and South Africa, $1 is trading at 17 rand 36 cents. $1 is trading at 73 pence to the British pound and 84 to the euro. Looking at commodities, gold is trading at $3,667 per ounce, platinum at $1,388 per ounce, while Brent crude oil is at $67.77 a barrel this afternoon. And those are your business news. I'll be back with your final look at the indicators in the next hour. For any business news stories you'd like to share with us, please send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11 714 4459 for Channel Africa Business. I am Buntle Headbush.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Parlez-vous couramment le français? Êtes-vous passionné par la radio? Et êtes-vous qualifié pour travailler en Afrique du Sud? Envoyez-nous votre CV et vos 3 minutes démo en MP3 à @channelafrica.co.za pour avoir une chance de rejoindre la famille Channel Africa. Si vous n'avez pas de réponse après 14 jours, cela signifie que vous n'avez pas été retenu. Channel Africa, la perspective africaine.
We are on Open Views Audio Bouquet. Channel 628.
I found the joy through all the pain. Through all the pain, I found the sun. Through all the rain, through all the rain, I found the power. A brand new day, a brand new day. I found the power. A brand new day, a brand new day. And I'm awakened. Who I could be through the thick and thin. I'm singing my song and I'm finding my way again. I was down in the sea and wading in. I count my blessings. I rise from the deep, let the joy within. I know it's been hard, but I found my way again. Oh, we'll never end where we begin. I found my hope when it was lost. When it was lost, I held my heart out of the dark. Out of the dark, I found the power, a brand new day, a brand new day. I found the power, a brand new day, a brand new day. There is a love, I only know, I found the strength to let her go, to let her go. I found the power, as you can see, them no believe. Girl, you can forward, come there with me, living lavishly.
47 minutes after 3 p.m. Central African Time. That was Joy by Angelique Kidjo featuring Davido. Davido. Is it properly? Is it Angelique?
Angelique.
Oh, it's not Angelique. It's not like Gabon.
Angelique.
Listen, spring is always a time of renewal, not just in nature, but in fashion too. As the season changes, designers are reimagining colors, fabrics, and styles that reflect freshness and new beginnings. Joining us on the line is Princess Mutlaung, self-taught designer and founder of Tebogo White Lifestyle, a brand that celebrates African identity while keeping in step with global trends. She'll be sharing how she's preparing fashion for the new spring season and what women and men also can expect from her upcoming collections to be inspired. Princess now joins us on the line. Princess, thank you so much for your time. Welcome to The Upside. Tebogo White Lifestyle. Am I correct in saying you're saying white lifestyle?
Yes, you are correct. Good afternoon, and thank you.
Why white lifestyle?
No, actually, it's Tebogo White Lifestyle, meaning Tebogo is it means Tebogo, it means white in English.
Yeah.
So I was like, Tebogo White, it's catchy. So I went with it. And then lifestyle, my yes, it's catchy, right?
I love that. It's very catchy indeed.
So Tebogo is it's short of my name. My full name is Mmatsheko. So that's why it's also, it's such a personal, such a, an amazing name that resonates very well with me. So lifestyle, it was added because I incorporate, it's like a makeover service provider kind of fashion brand. So we're taking a holistic approach in offering an all-encompassing service offering. So from your accessories to your fashion, excuse me, can you hear me? I think it's the network.
We can hear you perfectly.
Although
Okay,
I'm going to ask you a question now. Perhaps you can Zimba while I ask you this question.
All right.
Let's talk about the themes and inspiration that is kind of shaping your spring 2025 collection.
What's inspiring my collection is the vibrant neutral colors. So in African, we know that we always use patterns. We always use your ethnic, kind of neutral colors. So that is what I'm going with. That is what's coming back, which is your emerald greens, your dark blue, your navies. So those are the colors that I'm going with in my new collection. Those are the colors that are going to bring out that, trend and ambiance in the summer.
We are dressing and styling for the spring season in Southern Africa with Princess Mutlaung. She is a self-taught designer and founder of Tebogo White Lifestyle. We'll continue the conversation with her right after this.
Parlez-vous couramment le français? Êtes-vous passionné par la radio? Et êtes-vous qualifié pour travailler en Afrique du Sud? Envoyez-nous votre CV et votre 3 minutes démo en MP3 à @channelafrica.co.za pour avoir une chance de rejoindre la famille Channel Africa. Si vous n'avez pas de réponse après 14 jours, cela signifie que vous n'avez pas été retenu. Channel Africa, la perspective africaine.
Your afternoons just got even better, fresh and exciting. The Upside, hooking you up with today's news from an African perspective.
Well, let's continue our conversation with Princess Mutlaung. Princess, I want to know, it's spring now, which means we need to be sensitive to certain colors, materials. What do we need to be wearing during this time of the year when it's getting nice and warm? And not just for women. Please advise for the guys as well.
Yes. That is a very good question, and obviously not wool. Obviously not wool. Obviously not wool. You're gonna sweat up a storm. So obviously not wool, but you can go for linen. You can never go wrong with linen. You can never go wrong with linen and cotton and a little bit of polyester. Those are the colors that will, your skin well, and also help with your pores whenever you want, to breathe in your fabric, to breathe in your clothing. So I would suggest those three amazing materials whenever you are buying any item this spring and summer.
Yes, I love that advice. I want to go back a little bit to interrogating and exploring rather your entrepreneurship journey, because you are a self-taught designer. And I'm very interesting to, how you got there. How did you decide, I'm going to teach myself not only this business, but how to really make clothes and make them well? How did you start? Did you start by buying yourself a little machine and exploring that way? Or perhaps you shadowed somebody that already does the work? How did you solidify yourself as a self-taught independent designer?
Well, my great grandmother was a seamstress. My grandmother was a seamstress. My great grandfather was one. My paternal and maternal. That's how amazing it is.
Oh, wow.
My paternal and maternal were seamstresses, tailors. So it is in the genes, I assume. So also, I grew up wearing secondhand clothes that I would get from family members, and I would get also pre-owned clothes from charity. So I would always wanted to make them to look into good condition from where I got them from. So I would, dye the clothes. That's how my styling and clothing customization also came about. I would dye the clothes, make them to look in good condition. I would sew them to make them look as brand new. That's how it came about. And it started as an early age of 10 years old. So I would sew whenever we would play house with our friends. I would influence them, and I'd say, no, let's not play house, let's play fashion parade. And I would just sew some little items. I'd sew some little items, and then we would make a fashion show right there and there. And so it has always been in me. It has always been in me. So yeah.
I love that. Where do you want to take your brand though? Because and please just maybe you can start off by telling us where you are currently based, and where do you want to take the Tsweu White Lifestyle brand?
I want to take the brand continental, international. I would like it to, be a number one choice of your ready-to-wear items, even corporate, even casual, to be a number one, go-to fashion supplier. So what I'm doing currently, which I'm grateful for, is making some items from some high-profile women and men who do not, get the chance to go shopping, to, while running their errands. So I do also personal shopping and also do the designs for them, and also have incorporated makeup as well. So hence I mentioned earlier that I provide a head-to-toe makeover service. So from your hair to your makeup to your clothing, corporate for whenever at work, or casual whenever you attend casual momentous events. So that is what I would like to do. I would like to then have a franchise where I have my fashion stores in different provinces, in different different areas in Africa, and also internationally, because what I do is incorporate African details in my design. So that's where I see it. That's where I am. That's my ambition. That's why I aspire to take my business. Yes.
That is so beautiful. I love how the frequency in your voice changes when you talk about what is possible. That was so inspiring. That was very inspiring. And immediately as you started speaking, I could hear that this is a valid dream. Your dream is definitely a valid, Princess. Thank you so much. I think this is beautiful that you started creating employment and opportunity for yourself with something that you really love, and may it grow in leaps and bounds. Where can we find you if we'd like to just look at what you've been doing, grab some inspiration, but also perhaps consult with you for a wardrobe consultation, or maybe I've got a good occasion coming up and I'd like you to dress me?
I'm found in socials, Facebook, Instagram, at Twe White. You can find me, at Twe White on Instagram and Facebook. You can DM me, and then we can take it from there whenever you want to order, whenever you want to book for consultations. Yes, that's where you can find me and find all most of my work that I post there.
Beautiful. That is beautiful. And also, we just want to say big love to your cheerleader there in the background.
Oh, yes,
your little
yes,
cheerleader.
You wanted some next to the interview. Oh, yes.
Very sweet. Your baby has literally been with us throughout this whole interview. What a blessing. All the best. Thank you so much, Mmatsheko.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you. Thanks. Bye.
You're most welcome. I think that is the thing about this hour for me, actually. I just had the epiphany, is that, African women are really creating opportunities for themselves. And for me, what's beautiful is that they're not going outside of themselves to look for these opportunities. They're interrogating, what am I good at? What can I do? Can I use my hands? Do I have an intellectual ability? What do I have? Creativity. Using their creativity is another thing that I'm noticing about this hour. And it was really inspiring to see how women have really taken their power back, using fashion not only to tell stories, but also to empower.
Absolutely. The value of designers can never be understated.
Yes.
Especially for African women. Because who was our first guest that we had? Tebogo.
Tebogo, yeah.
She had mentioned that some people who struggle to get in mainstream outlets get off the rack clothes that just fit and that just works for them. It doesn't work like that. They have to go to a seamstress, a tailor to get it tailored. And I really value the work that they're doing. Even for us as guys, I'm not gonna lie, there are certain things that I can't buy off the rack.
Yeah, you want it customized.
I have to buy it because it won't just fit off the rack. I need to go get it tailored because the mainstream views bodies in a specific way, a very narrow-minded way. And so they design in that way, and it oftentimes feels very unflattering on your body. You're like, but you didn't really think about the proportions of a human being here, and you're not comfortable. So shout out to all the designers that we had today. A great show we had on the Upside this afternoon. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hang 10, because the Queen of Africa in business is coming up next, Utami Ngubeni. But thank you, ma'am. We had a fun show. Love your new hair.
Thank you, sir. Listen, I love my new hair. I can't wait to go outside and play with other kids. But thank you very much.
Play with other kids.
We will be back for the Friday edition. That's always tremendous fun.
In shorts.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Shorts Day. International Shorts Day tomorrow, as declared by the president of the Upside, Tebogo Lekhuleni, alongside me, Vice President Mosito. We'll see you again tomorrow. Onelen Zinzi standing by with the 4 p.m. news bulletin.
Bye-bye.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
Look at your top stories this hour. South Africa's president hosts his DRC counterpart in lawsuit filed against an Air India jet. Your latest news. Greetings to our listeners. South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa is hosting the DRC President Felix Tshisekedi for a working visit at Mahlamba Ndlovu, the president's official residence in Pretoria. The two leaders will have an opportunity to engage in a variety of issues of mutual interest with the hope of enhancing the strategic relationship and fostering closer cooperation between the two countries. Bunolo Maribe reports.
President Felix Tshisekedi's trip to South Africa comes amid ongoing efforts by Qatar and the US to find peace in the DRC. The DRC Army and the M23 group are reinforcing military positions and blaming each other for flouting peace accords in an escalation that experts say risks reigniting the simmering conflict. Both countries are members of SADC and aim to cooperate on regional issues, including economic integration and security. South Africa, in support of SADC, the African Union and UN, plays a constructive role in promoting peace and stability in the DRC.
The Umkhonto weSizwe Party's urgent bid to hold the Madlanga Commission has been struck off the roll in the High Court in Pretoria, South Africa. The MK Party wanted the court to declare President Cyril Ramaphosa's decision to place Police Minister Senzo Mchunu on special leave and the appointment of Feroz Kachalia in the interim unlawful. This includes establishment of the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. Judge Rommel Tomley handed down the judgment.
The President's decision has already been implemented. The proverbial horse has indeed bolted. The Madlanga Commission commenced with its work yesterday. Mr. Mchunu was placed on leave of absence, and Acting Minister Kacharia was appointed and has assumed office.